Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is another episode of Soap Opera Love in the Afternoon, where we talk about your favorite soaps in the United States and the United Kingdom, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I am Les Kurkendaal-Barrett. Hello, Jordan Hudson.
Hello, Les. How are you?
Oh my God. I hate technology. I hate it. It's a
Oh,
necessary.
you're preaching to the choir.
Zoom just literally, I want to, if Zoom was a human being, I would throttle her, right? Or him, right now. Yeah, we don't need problems with that. I don't need to be accused of being a female abuser, which I am not, by the way. So we got some good news.
We did?
Yes. So remember how we were both annoyed that Sally Spectra was written out of
Oh, that, yes.
Well, Sally Spectra is moving to Genoa City, and I'm here for it.
Yes, they finally did break the announcement. They had a picture of Miss Courtney with her in front of her dressing room at Young and the Restless, and it said Sally Spectra. So yes, the cat's out of the bag, and we can expect Sally to come to Genoa City and hopefully bring some life into those young people there, because ooh, can't even deal with them.
I'm here for it. I want her working at Fenmore's. I want her at Fenmore's. I want her because actually, you know what? Sally Spectra, when Lauren was on the show, I know that her aunt Sally Spectra and Lauren were friends because Lauren worked for Spectra.
Right. Well, the article that I read also hinted that there might be some other connection too, not just Lauren. So there might be a surprise. Who knows? Maybe the writers actually are trying to be creative. But either way, I definitely think that it's only can help them, not hurt them,
right.
Especially with that age bracket that she's in, because God help me, those young kids are boring. But I think that we should start off with the best and work our way to the worst.
Okay.
Because I feel like what's his name? David, the guy who does ABC World News Tonight, who I have the biggest crush on. What's his name? David? What is it? I know it by heart. Now it's like I'm drawing a blank on it.
At night I watch Anderson.
No, I watch World News Tonight with David. Oh my God, I'm really drawing a blank, and I can't believe it. Anyway, I feel like him. It's like, thank you for joining us, and we have a lot to cover tonight. But I have to tell you, I really gotta say that, because I know that I've been giving the American soap operas a really hard time, and I've been praising the British soap operas. But I gotta tell you, out of the 4 American soap operas, there's just one soap opera and I'm the first person to admit that I'm not always crazy about how they execute certain storylines, and I would have done it differently. But whether you love it, whether you hate it, whether some of the storylines are out there, whether certain characters are crazy, you cannot deny the fact that Days of Our Lives is the only American soap opera that is actually telling stories that are actually going somewhere, that are entertaining, at least entertaining, if not extremely interesting. And, you could debate whether certain storylines are insulting our intelligence or not, but hands down, right now, Days of Our Lives as a whole is the best soap opera on American TV right now.
I agree.
In comparison to the other 3. And these 2 weeks that we've been watching proved it. I mean, they've been proving it for months, but the fact that they lost so many major characters, and characters that we loved, that are our favorites, and somehow the show kept going. There wasn't any, lag time. There wasn't any kind of like, oh my God, what's going to happen without these major? No, it was like it kept going. It almost was like I almost forgot that they're gone, because I was so engrossed in what's going on right now that I hate to say it, but it's almost like I didn't miss them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I'm already enthralled in these next storylines. And look, I'm hard on Ron. You know that I'm hard on Ron. I don't play favorites. I'm honest.
Not me, Ron.
But I can also, when it's time to give people their due, I give them their due. They're not the writing team. He has a great writing team. He has several head writers, ex-head writers from other soap operas on his writing team. So that's why I always, I put them to a higher standard because of that fact. When you have like Lorraine Broderick, the Culletons, Kreisman on your team, I expect something. And I got to tell you, I was really impressed with how they handled this transition, because this could have really, some shows have really, they lose one or two major characters and it really shows, and I have to give them credit. I was impressed because we left off with Allie and Trip bumping into each other, and they have dominated the show since then. And I am living for them. Allie is like, she gives me hope for daytime acting. You know what I mean? Like they found somebody who, if soap operas are going to be on the air for the next 10 or 20 years, she is the next generation. She is the next diva. She will be like a Kim Zimmer. She will be like an Alison Sweeney if she wants to stay on the show and stuff. This girl is so engaging and interesting to watch. She is, I'm mesmerized by her. And this storyline, again, nothing new. I can't say that it's something different, but
actually, I read where they're going with this, and this actually, the twist that they have for this is going to be really good. And I don't know if it's something that I've ever seen. I don't want to spoil it. Let's
not spoil it for anybody. Right now, look, for those of you who don't know, Allie thinks that Trip raped her. It was done very subtly. We first see Allie and Trip see each other, and the first thing Allie did was slap the shit out of him. And we still didn't know what, and so in these last week and a half, we were following Allie as she's piecing everything together. And I gotta tell you, again, the writing on it, the way they plotted it out, it wasn't like Allie was like, "Oh, he raped me." It was very subtly done, where we knew that we first found out that obviously Allie thinks that Trip is the father, and you're kind of led to believe that maybe, he slept with her and then left her, and she was pissed at him. Right. And it wasn't until Nicole, when did Nicole become the town crier? It's like, she really needs to shut her fucking mouth. I hate her. I really do. She tells everybody's business. She went ahead and she told Kayla all about what Allie was like. That's Allie. Allie trusted you with this thing. Who are you to be telling Kayla that Allie felt that Trip raped her? I want to just punch Nicole. No, I'm on Team Sammy with this, But anyway, getting back to Allie, Nicole almost kind of I do agree with Patch. Nicole kind of egged her on, and it's kind of leading her into that direction, because the bottom line is Allie was so freaking wasted that she doesn't really remember anything. And I got to tell you, I think it's an interesting storyline. It's nothing new. We've done the rape storyline. And the thing with Days of Our Lives is a soap that, I hate to say it, they really almost, so many of their female characters have been raped over the years, and they've been criticized about this. And it's that's why I was kind of as interesting as I'm finding this story, I'm like, oh, yet again, it's like Kayla's been raped, Jennifer's been raped, the list goes on.
But I gotta say though, with young people, the story that they're telling now is actually, I hate to say it, but with young college-age people, this happens more than you'd like to hear.
No, and that's why I'm giving them some leeway, because it's more reflective of the time. And I also like the way that it impacted the other characters, because as people found out about it, their reactions were different. And it was the one thing I love is when I feel like something's being written in a way that it's very character driven and it's very true. Because when Patch found out that Allie had accused him, of course he believes his son, because he talked to Trip and Trip told him his version of the story. He said, she was drunk. I took her home. She was so wasted. I just made sure she was safe, and then I left. He goes, we didn't have sex, so I can't be the father. So of course, Patch believes his son. Now, when he went to tell Kayla about it, at this point, Kayla had already talked to Big Mouth Nicole, and Nicole, of course, is so adamant that she believes Allie's version of it. And Kayla's reaction was so great. I was like, that's great writing. Because Kayla's reaction was, well, I was just like, and I'm sorry, Patch was unfair to her. He's not looking at it from her point. She's somebody who's been raped. And not raped violently, but raped in the way that Allie was raped, in the sense that, she told Jack no, and Jack forced himself on her as her husband. So I'm sure it brought up things for Kayla, as much as she would love to believe that Tripp is innocent. And not only that, but all the stuff that Tripp did to her, putting the, and I love that they used that history. And I loved it because he was like, well, what you mean the time that he held, like if it was nothing, like the time he put a scalpel to your neck, and she's like, yeah, hello. Yes. And I was like, great job on the writing team for that, and it was and it gave Patch and Kayla something really good to play, because, you can't keep breaking these couples up over stupid things. So now this is something that really is going to put their relationship to the test, because, Kayla believes Allie, and now, Patch believes his son. So this is good drama. This is good writing. I was enthralled by all of it. I was just like, I was loving Allie's performance, and then Tripp went to confront her, and that was intense. And they have so much chemistry. I don't even know if I want them necessarily together. I think I do eventually, but just acting opposite each other, they were on fire together. Their scenes were so good. Like, you could almost think that they have been working for years. Like, that kind of chemistry, you can't. It's something that's either there or it isn't, and they were working so well off each other. And I also love the fact that they're really playing off how damaging this could be for him, because, that's the thing that's always overlooked in these things. It's like, yes, we need to, when somebody says that they've been raped and they've been attacked, we definitely need to hear them and be open to that. But we also got to make sure that they're telling the truth, because you could be damaging somebody's life. And we all know that he obviously is not the father. I do believe that he did, his version of the story. I mean, because she was drunk.
Well,
why, you heard that he is going to be the father?
Well, want me to tell you the twist?
I don't know. All right, okay, we'll do what we used to do in the Pine Valley podcast. Spoiler alert!
Okay, spoiler alert. We've never done this before. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear this, forward the podcast now.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Okay. Have you fast forwarded? I'm giving you one more chance, because I'm gonna reveal it. Okay, so here's gonna be the twist. They're gonna have a DNA test, and the DNA is gonna match his DNA. But it's gonna turn out that the twist is she was raped, but not by him, but somebody who was related to him.
Ah. Who? It can't be Joey, because Joey's her actual cousin.
Well, they just said there's speculation, but that's what the twist is going to be. Yeah, she was raped, but it's by one of his relatives, like someone who's related to him.
Oh, well, it could be somebody on his mother's side. Maybe. Oh God, I hope it's not a twin. I can't deal with more twins. This show has way too many twins.
No, and I think there's talk. I think it's going to be someone who's actually someone we've seen before. Like, it's not going to be a stranger to the canvas.
But the only relative that he has is Joey. That's it, and Joey's related to Allie.
Is he? Wait, wasn't Joey adopted though?
Huh? No, Joey. I don't think Joey was adopted. Joey's their child, and Joey is related to her because Kayla is a Brady.
I'm gonna look this up because remember when they found a baby? Like it was before they left.
No, that was that baby that was like deaf. I know who you're talking about. That's that Max kid, I think, or whatever. That was really Stefano's kid, or those were the confusing years. Yeah, I don't. Well, anyway, we do know. For those of you who don't know, Miss Sting is coming back. I don't know if she's coming back as a ghost or if she's really alive, but what's her name is coming back as his mother, Tamara Braun.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's going to play into it, but I mean, the bottom line is, like I said, Allie is a daytime diva in the making. She's the real deal. I'm living for her.
Okay,
I'm just living for her. Yeah, I'm living for her. I'm living for Trip. I mean, it was weird that no one told Allie about Sierra dying. I mean, like, what the fuck was up with that? Like, when Claire tells her, it was just like, how do you not know? It's like, right. Didn't somebody tell you? I mean, Sammy knew that Sierra was dead before she left town. That's not something you mentioned. Right. I mean, it just was weird that Sierra was the one who broke the news to her. And then there was also some weird things too, like when Allie was talking to Claire, she was like, "Oh, you need to tell me about Trip because Trip is denying it." How did she know that Trip was denying it? Lonnie was talking to Trip. Mm-hmm. While she was talking to Claire, and I don't know how Allie already knew that. And then, did I miss an episode? Did Allie and Claire talk about Trip? Like, how did Allie know that Claire knew Trip?
Oh, because no, they were talking about him. No, they were talking.
They did talk. That I missed something. Okay, maybe I forgot that.
They talked about him.
All right, but then how did Trip know where Allie lived? That was another thing that I thought was weird. Like when did that come up? Who mentioned that to him?
Because I know Trip because they ran into each other. Then Trip went and talked to Patch because then Patch was like, "Oh yeah, since it's such a small town, Allie's blah 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 blah." So he was informed of who she is. So yeah.
I don't know.
He knew.
I will say this. Chase from General Hospital needs to study Lonnie and Eli. He needs to watch Days of Our Lives and watch how Lonnie and Eli do police stuff because they're much more believable cops than Chase from General Hospital. I'm sorry, I got to diss Chase. And then did you notice that Wednesday's opening sequence did not match Tuesday's ending? Soaps do that sometimes, and I always find that bizarre. You know what that is because there's different directors, and some directors just don't give a fuck what the other director did. Honestly, I actually was on One Night to Live when because at that time we were shooting multiple scenes from different episodes, but we were shooting by set, and so we were shooting the ending of one episode and the beginning of another, and literally one of the actresses, I won't mention her by name, she was one of my favorites on One Night to Live. She told the director, she was polite about it, but she said, "Well, we just shot this and this is not." He's like, "I don't give a damn." And he told her just like that. He's like, "I don't care. I want it to look like this." And I'm thinking, you want it to look like that, but it's not going to fucking match. It looks stupid. And it doesn't happen a lot, but I always find it weird so I was really bizarre about how different, because it wasn't just one, it was like 2 or 3 scenes that were totally different between, Tuesday's ending and Wednesday's, and it was the same exact scene, but it was played differently because obviously it was different directors. So I always think those things are like really funny to me. I'm like, weird.
How do you
I'm
feel
loving
about, I was
Go
going to
ahead.
ask, how do you like the Philip versus Xander? I'm
loving the hijinks at Casa Kyriakis and Casa de Amira. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I find Days of Our Lives, because I'm entertained, even if it's not the greatest. Like, not everything has to be, socially relevant. Sometimes you got to have balance in your show, and I love the whole family thing. I loved all the hijinks. I love Xander working with Jan to get Philip arrested, and then Sean coming to that dinner and arresting him, and all that hijinks, and then Sarah busting him. That was all fun, great stuff to watch. I love when Sarah read him, and she was like, "No, you got to stop this kind of stuff. It's gonna backfire on you, and I'm not gonna be with you." And I love all that. She was on fire in those scenes.
I love when
I was
Xander
just
threw his business card. He threw it and it like
well, we
flew.
remember when they first met and Jan's line to Xander was just like, I speak fluent Kiriakis, like get to the point of what you're doing. And it really did continue because I love when Jan went and confronted Victor. Those were some funny scenes.
Right.
Those were some funny scenes. See, that's what I'm talking about. I love when they're utilizing all the characters, they're writing them in the right way. I mean, Jan is crazy, but you know what? She's working it. She knows what she wants.
Yeah.
And she has the whole thing. She knew that if she had Philip arrested, it was going to mean that Claire, what's her name, Belle was going to defend him, and then Philip was going to, and then Sean Douglas was going to get all upset and jealous. So I'm sorry. I love a woman who knows how to manipulate people.
Right.
So I'm living for Jan right now. And she's manipulating the shit out of Claire. I was just like, yo, this girl is fierce. It was just like, she's winning brownie points with me, and I loved her comments to Victor. I mean, those scenes were great. Kayla's reaction. We talked about that, Kayla's reaction. The big thing was it ended on Wednesday. There was no episode today or Friday. But Wednesday's episode with who the fuck is Philip working with? So it seems like Philip's working with somebody to take over Titan.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. And I don't think it's his mother, because when him and Kate talked, that never came up.
No.
So he's working with, now who could he be working with? Things that make you go,
So, I have a prediction about Gwen.
What do you think?
I think Gwen might be Jack Devereaux's daughter, but I'm trying to figure out by who.
There's been so many women.
And I'm not Days is one of those that up until Ron started writing, Days was always on one of those shows that I kind of knew what was going on. I listened to Daytime Confidential. I used to read Soap Opera Digest, so I was always aware of what was going on, but I'm not well versed in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have a feeling that Gwen is going to turn out to be Jack Devereaux's daughter by some.
It has to be something like that, whether she's the long lost twin or she's Jack's daughter, period. It has to be, because her hatred of Abigail, it has to be something like that. You know what I mean? It just, I don't, because there's such a deep rooted hatred.
Right.
But I got to tell you, I am so glad that Marcy Miller is back. I mean, again, I do love What's Her Face, but I don't know what it is about Marcy Miller, but I like watching her more. I really do. I loved all the scenes with her and Gwen. I loved when she looked at the picture and she saw Kate Manzi. She was like, who's this? That was, see, I love tongue-in-cheek stuff like that, because, Abigail is a little crazy right now. She's still hallucinating and seeing things. So I thought that was a nice little inside joke. But I'm really glad she's back. Do you think that Kate's going to tap Jake while Gabby's away? I could see that.
When she walked in with her kimono, and I was like,
yeah. I was like, are we? And you know what? And you know what I love about her is that I can buy it.
And she loves the younger man.
Just like with Robin Strasser. I told women of a certain age. Let me tell you, she will teach him some things. So that when Gabby comes back, Gabby can be like, "Where you learned that from?"
I love Gwen talking to the painting, talking to Stephanie.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was, oh my God. Now I gotta tell you, who I'm really loving is the new Melinda Trask. Now,
yes.
I gotta tell you, I feel bad. I shouldn't judge the other one because I gave up Days when she had just started. I saw her trying to flirt with Chad, and then I stopped watching it because Ron was driving me crazy, rushing the storyline. So I really feel bad. I mean, I didn't think she was the worst thing ever, but I also didn't feel like she necessarily fit in. Now, this Melinda Trask, I'm living for her. Yeah. She used to be on Rizzoli and Isles as a supporting character on the show. Like she was a series regular, but she was like the person who did the autopsies and stuff, the coroner. She's fierce though. I love the scenes with her and Abe. I love it. I love that they gave them like several scenes throughout the episodes. I loved her scenes with Eli. I was like, damn, they're keeping it real, and she was working it. Oh, yeah. She was working every morning, and every moment, and I'm like, you know what? I hope they keep her on. We need more diversity on the show, on all these shows.
And she's good.
And she's good. She's good, and she's hot too. Like I could see her like romancing people there. So it's like I want her to stay, and I really really love her. And I love that Lonnie went to Abe and made demands about her. It's like Lonnie. I'm liking this side of Lonnie. I really am. Mm-hmm. I'm loving this fierceness that Lonnie has for her friend, and that's all good stuff.
See, just like you give a girl some good braids and see what happens.
Exactly. Well, let me tell you, that's the other thing. Let's talk about her braids. I'm living for the fact. See, now I wonder if she's doing it herself or if she hired somebody. Because I can't believe that anybody else. I don't believe any of those hairdressers know how to do braids, but I'm living for the braids because every time she's on, she has them a different way and everything, and she's looking fierce enough. Yeah. She's looking really fabulous. I wasn't sure, like when she first got it was such a shock because it was so different, and you know, braids don't work on everybody, but they're working on her. She's stunning and done.
Do you remember those wigs she was wearing? It's a big improvement.
Let's not even go into wigs. I'm still tormented by Batwoman, the first season of Batwoman, and that hideous wig. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I've seen drag queens with better wigs than they had on Batwoman. But anyway, the one storyline that is still flat for me is the whole Sierra Vincent Ben Hope storyline.
And
I feel like Chris. I feel like Kristen Alfonso. I feel like she deserves better. I felt like Cassie. They brought Cassie the Piva back for like one episode for her to do like one or two scenes. And don't get me wrong, Cassie of course was giving you like Oscar-winning performance, not even Emmy, Oscar. But it just like they deserve better. I feel like that's the weakest thing right now. It's so obvious that. I don't know. I'm not buying any of it. None of it makes sense to me. It's just like, follow the evidence. Why are they acting like Trump followers? It's just like, there's no remains, and she wasn't in the damn car. It's as simple as that. I mean, because I always heard that no matter how intense the fires or whatever, there's going to be some remains, like to prove that that there was a body in there, and the report is telling you. So I don't understand why this is still up in the air. But
okay, remember this? Okay, Hope. Remember when you were in a bird cage?
Exactly.
That caught on fire, and they found out years later that you didn't die.
And they didn't even have the kind of technology that back then that they had now to prove that the body. So it just is kind of like, it's kind of like, this is the one storyline that to me is kind of weak. It also is just like, it's just troublesome because again, the fact that this is where Dave loses points with me is like, because this is where the rush storytelling gets me annoyed, because the fact is she is a major character. She is a legacy character. And the fact that she died and everybody's just going on with their life. I mean, people mention, I'm so sad about Sierra, but yet everybody's going on with their life. Even Victor, who was so tormented by her, it's just like, it's time to throw a dinner party for Philip. I'm like, your grand.
Think though, if you lived in Salem, and you're like, and within a year, like 20 people came back from the dead.
I know.
Mind, she's like, she's not dead. But this is why I would have rather, instead of doing the whole like, oh my gosh, she's dead, that it would have been of just like she's missing thing. I would have preferred that. I would have preferred something like she was in docks in the fog and we don't know where she went. You know what I mean? It's just like, I feel like this is just so like over the top. And the fact that
again, everybody else isn't taking it serious. I mean, they didn't even have a funeral for her. I mean, Claire keeps talking about doing some kind of memorial service. She's like running around town with this like memorial thing. And I'm like, but anyway, Salty John rules. I want
Yes.
John to stay like this. I don't want John to ever go back.
Like Jason Morgan. He needs to stay
he
like
is
that.
He is so. And then I was thinking, why is Roman never around? And then they finally threw Roman a couple of scenes. They gave him a scene with Marlena when Eric said goodbye. We all know that Eric exit was horrendous. And then he had some great scenes with Kayla. But I got to tell you, every time that Roman and Kayla are in a scene together, it weirds me out because, you know, to me, he's never going to be Roman. He's always going to be Chris Kostachek. And you know that Chris Kostachek used to go out with Kayla. And it wasn't Mary Beth Evans' Kayla. It was the original Kayla, Catherine Mary Stewart. But every time I see Roman and Kayla together, I keep thinking Chris Kostachek and Kayla are like brother and sister now. And it weirds me out. But I did enjoy this scene because this is like, it's so weird that Roman is there, but he's kind of not. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. Because I was really a big Wayne Northrup fan. I really loved Roman and Marlena, and I really felt that they did him wrong, but whatever. And the Bonnie stuff is really working. And you know what? I'm going to tell you why the Bonnie stuff is really working for me right now. The reason that the Bonnie stuff is working is because they're not writing her as a caricature the way she was before. You know, before she was just like a prop in this storyline of her, you know, taking over what's her name, Adrian's life and blah, blah. But now they're writing her like a human being. And she's still Bonnie, you know, she's still obnoxious and she's still loud and she's still, you know, saying the wrong things. But we get to see that there's really a heart there, you know, and I'm loving this kind of redemption thing that she's going through because it's harking back to me when Robin Mattson was playing Janet on All My Children and she was trying her darnest to change her life around and, you know, be there to be a mother to Amanda and try to be there for Trevor and stuff. And I loved that. It was one of my favorite things on All My Children towards the end. You know, I was devastated when they wrote her and James Kibbard off. And then when they brought Kate Collins back and it wound up that she like lost her mind again and just killed Trevor. I hated all that. I thought that was horrible when they did that. So I'm enjoying this Bonnie storyline because that's what it's reminding me of, and it's I think it's being well written. I hope they keep going with it. You know, I thought the scenes with her and Justin were really sweet, and I thought even the scenes with her and Pat were really good. What did you think?
You know, I loved it. You know, what can I say that you didn't say?
Yeah, I mean, I just think really good writing this week. I loved how when Tripp was telling his story, Allie was telling her story, and they kept going back and forth. That was great. See, that was great writing and directing. Whoever decided to do it that way was really good. Now, we talk about why Ben is still in town. Why is Nicole still in town? She should have left with Eric. And where's her daughter? That apartment is so small, we never see Holly.
Right.
I will say, just like Sammy, Kate makes Nicole tolerable. I could tolerate Nicole when Kate had those scenes with her. My hope is I'm really rooting for Tripp and Allie to eventually be like a super couple because I think they have it. But there was another potential super couple in the mix, and I'm kind of surprised and shocked. They had announced on I want to say Daytime Confidential, but I can't be 100% sure. But somebody announced that yet again, Days of Our Lives had cast this white boy in a role, and of course I'm thinking, oh, here we go, another Ryan Murphy thing, you know, one of those Ken dolls that can act like Chase. And so this kid started. His name is Charlie on the show, and he's the new intern at Titan.
Right.
And I'm impressed. They actually hired an actor. And it goes back to that story that I told you last time about the actor on All My Children, who the director had to say, you know, come down and explain that just because you don't have dialogue, that doesn't mean that you can't act. You know, if anything, it's what goes on between the lines that's even more important. And so this kid actually has chops. And I thought he was really impressive in his scenes. He's playing, as of right now, he seems to be like this really goofy, geeky, like nerdy intern. Not nerdy looking because he's obviously good looking, but in his body language and the way he seems like a really genuine, nice guy. And so I was kind of like, okay, he's kind of impressing me. But then he had scenes with Claire, and I was like, wow, their scenes were great. I thought they were great. The way he looked at her, like because she like was walking with a smoothie, and he already had a smoothie thrown on him by Xander and Philip, who were fighting. Right. So he just got like a new shirt. And then he's like walking in the square, and then Claire bumps into him and spills her smoothie on him. And when he looked up and he saw her, the look on his face was like he just saw Angelina Jolie. Like he was like instantly in love. And I was like, he's got me. I'm interested in who he is and who he's about, because that's acting. Like the look in his eyes, like he seemed like he really was genuinely interested in her. Like when you meet somebody that just really grabs your attention and you're like, who is this person? I want to get to. And I just found their scenes to be so sweet and endearing. And it was great to see Claire getting some finally, you know,
right.
After being fucked over by Trip and, you know, what was the autistic boy's name? I forgot.
Oh, Theo.
Theo, yeah. So I was like, oh, Claire's going to get some. And somebody who likes Claire, not, you know, Sierra, you know, and right. She's not going to be second best. You know, this is, you know, and I'm hoping that, because I'm fearful that he's the one who raped Allie. I'm like, oh my God, please don't him be the one who raped Allie. And because I it's one of those things that I feel like is so missing on daytime, the romance. And, you know, for those of you who don't know, Days of Our Lives in the 80s, their whole concept was super couples. I mean, they had like a million super couples on their shows, you know? Right. And so I'm missing the romance. So I was really enjoying, I don't know if you enjoyed them, but I was really enjoying Charlie and Claire, and I want to see more Charlie and Claire. I want to see some more romance. I want to see some more, you know, just yeah. And he was just so good. I love when he was like, because she was talking to him about like Trip. She didn't mention him by name, but he's like, well, you know, with me, what you see is what you get. I was like, oh, he's so dorky. I was like, and she had this cute little smile. And I'm like, we haven't seen that in a while on daytime. I'm like, I want some romance, you know? So I got to give Days props, man. They really, for me, this past 2 weeks, except for the you know, the Vinny Sierra Ben thing, everything else was working.
And Ben, you know how I feel about Ben.
Yeah, and I want to thank the wardrobe person for continuing to put Chad in those tight slacks. I really appreciate it. I just want you to know that I'm a big fan of you for doing that.
So who do we talk about next?
I think we should go from like the best to the worst. So Let's talk about General Hospital.
I am enjoying General Hospital these days.
At least somebody is.
I actually am. Well, because this is...
All right, let me ask you this. Are you enjoying it as much as Days of Our Lives?
No. But not everybody
good.
can
All
be,
right,
you know... No, not even close. But I'm just enjoying the fact that it seems like that this break did them some good. And I like the fact that stuff is revolving around the hospital again. And, you know, I liked, for example, and I'm still, because I was just, to listeners, and I've said this before, I was in a donut hole for a while, which if you don't know what that means you watched a show, you stopped for a bunch of years, and now you're starting up again. So there's stuff that I'm still getting to know, like the teen set, for example. I'm enjoying like their dance and their homecoming, that whole thing. I actually am enjoying that. Well, I'm enjoying it because they're showing kids being kids, and that's what.
Are they really though? Are they really though? That's my problem.
But I mean, come on. It's like, you know, you've got a girl whose dad is a mobster, or her stepdad is a mobster, best friends with another girl whose dad was like, you know, a detective who was, you know, in hiding. Friend, you know what I mean? It's like for for what these kids are dealing with, I actually liked that they did show them going to the dance and being kids. I liked it.
All right. I mean, I could see why you like it. I mean, I think my problem with the kids is my problem with General Hospital is that unlike Days of Our Lives, which I give them credit because they're telling stories, I don't see General Hospital telling a lot of stories. I see General Hospital like just existing, but nothing really necessarily happening. And that's my issue with the teens especially. It's just like the teens really don't have a storyline. We see them and then we don't see them for a long time, and then they come back and they do one little thing and then we don't see them again. It's like they don't seem to want to commit to anything with them. I mean, Dev has been on the show for a while now, and we're no closer to finding out who he is or what he's about. You know, when he came on, I felt like he was the shot that they needed, because here he was, this edgy kid who was like a hustler in Turkey, and he saved Sonny, you know, and Dante and da-da-da-da, and he, you know, he was different from the three of them. But now he's become so bland like the three of them, you know what I mean? Like he's become so Americanized, and it's just like he's lost that edge. Like there was such a butting of heads with him and Joss, and now it's just like he's just, you know, asexual. No, you know, I just feel like this, and I'm going to get to why this is an issue, but I'm going to say it right now. This is one of the problems that I'm having with American Daytime currently, is that a lot of these characters, they bring them on with no kind of concept of who the person is, what their purpose is, and they have no personality. I mean, when you think back to the old days on daytime TV, like when you think of like Reva Shane and Tad Martin and Erica Kane, and when these characters came on, that they were like a force to be reckoned with. You know, Tina, Dorian, you know, they had personalities, they had desires, they had wants, they had needs that drove them to do the kind of crazy or outlandish things that they did. And now these characters that they bring on are just, it's like one extreme or the other. Either they're like saints, like that are just bland and boring, or they're all psychopaths like Nell. You know what I mean? It's like there's no in between. And unfortunately, there's only so much you can do with a character like Nell once you take them to that extreme. But like, look at Brando, for instance. What is his purpose on the show? He can't really act. He's, at least I'm not seeing anything, you know, right now in General Hospital. Maybe it's the material they're giving him, which is kind of nothing. But it's just like, what is his purpose on the show? Why did you bring him on the show? He's supposedly related to Mike. I mean, but there's nothing happening, you know. And this is my big gripe with General Hospital, is like there's so much potential, but they just keep. It's like I want to hit Frank in the head and say, wake up. You know, you got some really great things that could be happening here, but you're not taking advantage of it. You're not utilizing anything. And it's frustrating to watch. Like, yeah, the kids went to the prom, but when I look at the kids on Hollyoaks, when I look at the kids, you know, they're like real kids. Like Hollyoaks, the parent, the mother was out and the kids decided to throw a party and they were doing drugs. That's real kids. That's what real teenagers are doing. Not this kind of 1950 thing that we're seeing, because that's what when I'm watching these kids in General Hospital, it's like I almost feel like I'm watching Happy Days. It's just like, I mean, you know, you would think that somebody like Joss, with everything that she's been through, she would have some issues, some major issues. I'm tired of her being a saint. Let's see her rebel. Let's see her get pissed at the fact that her life is always upheaval because of Sonny. You know, there was one time where they almost went there like that, and then they quickly dropped it. And it's just like, yeah, if I was her, I'd be pissed right now. I'd be like, I don't want to be living here. I want to live with my father. You know, I'm tired of like having to deal with like mobsters and gunfire. You know, it's kind of ridiculous how they keep glossing over the fact that Sonny, you know, I'm sorry, he's a thug. He's a mobster. He's not a good guy.
I kind of like
don't know.
That, though. I actually kind of enjoy that.
What, Sonny?
Like the mob story? I like.
Oh,
I like
I'm
that.
so over the mob story on General Hospital. I'm just, Yeah, I don't know. I just like, I think that the actors who play the teams are very talented. I just think that they're being wasted. I don't think they're really doing anything with them. The new TJ is not cutting it. They finally gave him something, and I wasn't feeling it. He just, the other TJ I really liked, and I don't know. And I don't even know, is this even a story with Molly, TJ, and Brando? Can you call that a story when Molly and TJ are on every other blue moon? I mean, I don't understand. This is stuff that pisses me off. What works for me is Ava and Nicholas. Ava and
I do
Nicholas
like
have been
that story.
hot. Ava and Nicholas have been hot. The fact that they're dropping this whole Franco, Elizabeth thing, and they're realizing. See, this is what I'm saying. You got to realize what's working. Ava and Nicholas have chemistry. They're interesting. And now that they had sex and they're kind of feeling each other, but they don't want to admit it. And then now Kevin's thrown into the mix. Oh, please let Kevin come back to town and start killing people. Let him kill all the right people this time. I'm sorry. I love Kevin. He's interesting. The scenes with him and Ava, Maura West is so phenomenal. I mean, she is like one of the last great daytime divas. She really is. They don't make them like that anymore. I mean, she is so riveting to watch. Her choices, the way she chooses to deliver lines and stuff. It's so unpredictable. And those scenes with her and Kevin at the prison were phenomenal. I was like literally at the edge of my seat, just drooling as I was watching her and him go at it. And then for Nicholas to come in, for him to figure out where she was, and him like, come on, I want you to go, because he obviously really cares about her now. I thought all of that was so much more interesting than all the other stuff going on. Like, I was loving all that. I was like, oh my God, keep Ava and Nicholas on. I will say it was good classic soap opera. What happened with Alexis, Ned, and Olivia? Did you like all that?
Yes.
See, that's when the show needs to acknowledge what's working. I mean, I knew they were kind of heading that way, but I didn't know that they were going to go that way. So for those of you who aren't watching, Ned got drunk because he was upset that Olivia had went to Europe with Robert and was tracing around and whatever. So he got drunk. He saw Valentine with Alexis and got upset because he hates Valentine, who took over his company, and he didn't want him taking advantage of Alexis. So Alexis also fell off the wagon, which I'm not necessarily crazy about that storyline, but that's my issues with them always making alcoholic characters always fall off the wagon every time they have one simple problem.
I mean, and I've been candid about this. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and that happens a lot. So actually, that's not, having her fall off the wagon like that is not far-fetched.
I'm not saying that it can't happen or it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, I just feel like, and I will say this, I don't think that it's as bad as it was with AJ. Like, see, I felt like with AJ and All My Children, that was always the go-to. Like, he was falling off the wagon every other month. You know what I mean?
But that happens.
I just feel like
that happens.
I know, but I feel like that's a crutch, though.
Honestly, it's realistic. I know some people who literally, it took them 10 years to get a year sober. And I know people who have the best intentions and will relapse once a month. I could name 5. Well, I'm not going to name 5, but that's actually what she's going through with that. That's realistic. Some people get it.
No, like I said, I'm not necessarily against it. I just don't want it to become the go-to. I just feel like, as writers, you gotta come up with. I will agree with you that obviously she's going through a lot, and so at least they gave her justification for why she did it.
She woke up next to a dead man. Of course, it's gonna make you relapse.
Yeah,
that's gonna make you relapse.
So her and Ned hooked up. They hooked up because they were both drunk. By this time, Olivia was back in town, frantically trying to get in touch with Ned, and then the payoff happened. Ned came home, found Olivia, the two of them went at it, and he accused her of sleeping with Robert. She, of course, was like, what? And this was great writing, great soap opera telling. I'm so glad that they're finally giving Wally Kurth and Lisa Lucero the airtime that they deserve, because the Quartermaines should be up in front in this show. And I've always said that they could be the next Monica and Alan. You know what I mean? And I was living for the fact that Olivia went off, and not in a bad way, but she told him, like, I don't blame you for thinking that. Look at the role models that you had. Your mother. She was like, even Edward cheated on Lila. And that was some deep shit. Because it's true. It's true. It's like, that's, of course, if that's all you see growing up, you wouldn't believe that somebody could be faithful. Olivia is a good Catholic one from Brooklyn. Hello, she's not like that. She's not like you guys. And Ned felt like the biggest piece of shit. And he almost told her, and then he realized he couldn't, and he didn't. But eventually the truth is going to come out. And I was like, this is some good classic soap opera. I was riveted by it. Lisa tore it up. I was like, oh my God, when the truth comes out. But the Wally Kurth played the hell out. They were incredible to watch. I was really, really living for them.
And I want him and Alexis back together. I want her, Olivia and Robert together. I'm just really enjoying it, because right now, for me personally, General Hospital is doing the stuff that I used to like. And the stuff that they're doing now is the reason why I used to like it.
Well, no, like I said, there are good things. I mean, the best thing they did for Valentine was break him up with Nina, because he's so much more interesting now. Him always like trying to win Nina, and like now that he's a mover and shaker and he's involved in all these other storylines, it was interesting. Even Britt with Stone Cold, maybe she could warm up Stone Cold. I was actually wondering about Britt and Jason. That was kind of interesting. I like their scene.
Yes. I know. Well, I love Britt anyway. It's one of my favorites.
I was like, maybe Britt can bring some life in him.
I love Britt.
I also love that they brought Monica out for Brooklyn. I thought that was great. I loved Brooklyn with Amy. I thought those scenes were hysterical. And Brooklyn has come up with this cockamamie. See, stuff like this is really good classic soap opera. Brooklyn's come up with an idea to have Amy sing for her and pretend to be Brooklyn singing, so that nobody knows she can't sing anymore. And at first, Amy said no, and I thought this was good writing, because they're using the past history. Amy had with, what's his face? Maxie's ex who died, Faison's son, Dr. O's son, I forgot his name, Nathan. They did this whole crazy storyline where Nathan was pretending to be this writer of a column that Amy was trying to be a writer. So, and that blew up in their faces. So Amy at first told Brooklyn no, but then when she heard Brooklyn, talking to Monica and everything, she's like, you know what? I'm going to do this for you, Brooklyn. I was just like, I'm loving this, because I love me some Amy. See, if I was writing the show, Amy would be like a regular. Amy would be having storylines and stuff. So I'm glad that Amy's there. I was laughing my ass off when she started singing to Brooklyn, "You're not alone." And the look of Brooklyn's face, I was just like, see, so when General Hospital does stuff that's right, they get it right. You know what I mean? I have to give them credit. What doesn't make sense is the whole Michael and Willow stuff. All right, they got together because they were trying to keep Nell away from the baby. Nell's dead, so I don't understand why Chase and Sasha can't tell the truth. And I really hate that Carly, who knows the truth, is like egging them on. It's like, just because she wants to adopt the baby, they don't need to be married to be co-parenting. You know what I mean?
Like, well, I don't like Willow anyway. I don't like Willow, and I'm gonna go out there. I don't like Michael.
Well,
I don't like.
I've always thought that Michael is a hard character. There are times where I've liked him. There's times where I don't. He's another one who I just feel like they really don't know what to do with him. The fact that he's never had a success. Huh? Go ahead.
The only time I liked Michael was back when he was so mad at Sonny.
Yes.
That his revenge was that he's like, well, I'm going back to the Quartermains and I'm going to be a Quartermain. That's when I liked him, because that was just good, And when he was literally going to be Michael Quartermain, that's when I liked him.
I agree with you. I think that's when he was most interesting. The fact that he, again, forgave Sonny and he's become Sonny is like, it just is annoying. It's annoying. Michael has no backbone. I mean, it also shows in the relationships that he has. He's never had like a successful pairing with somebody. I mean, people liked him and Star together. People liked star when she became, but it was never anything where it's like, oh my God, they're like a super couple or anything. It was like, he's never been able to kind of have that like electricity with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I do like him with Sasha. I don't like him with Willow. I feel like him and Willow are just, and I really feel like Sasha's getting a raw deal because I think she is great. She's somebody who's really impressed me, and the little stuff that they give her, she is playing the hell out of it. Her scenes with again, this is what's her face from Bold and the Beautiful should be watching Sasha on how to portray somebody who's an addict. The scenes that she had with Valentine were great. Because she wasn't obvious about it. She wasn't, but you could tell if somebody is really looking, like Valentine doesn't know that she's on drugs, but he knows something's up. He knows something's wrong with her. He's trying to find a justification for it, and he's assuming that it's because, and she went with it. Of course, she's trying to cover her. She doesn't want him knowing that she's on coke. So she's like, yeah, it's because I pushed Michael away. And she went with it. See, that's great. That's good writing about it. That's great storytelling. You know what I mean? It's subtlety, letting it build up, not making her an addict overnight.
I think Michael would do best with if they brought on sort of like a Tina Lord type character or like a young Carly type character.
Well, that was now. That was what.
But not
yeah,
now.
but that's what now was.
Or like a young Tina Lord who's not like evil or bad. She's just kind of naughty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Tina or like even like a young Erica.
A character who's complex.
Right. Who's
a character who has a personality.
But she's not bad. Right. She's not bad. She's not even out for revenge. Remember on One Life to Live, Tina wasn't bad. She was just like money grubbing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Character who has a personality, who has wants and desires and needs and dreams and ideas. And you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. You got, when you bring a character on, there has to be. It's one of the reasons that I liked what's her face on Bold and the Beautiful. I mean, yeah, she was kind of crazy for wanting Wyatt, but at least she had a game plan. She wanted this guy, and she was going to do whatever it took. I will say, suffering through Dante is worth it if we get Dr. O back. I was living for my Dr. O.
Dante's another one. I'm not. I don't love him.
No, I'm not. I don't like him either. But it led to having Doctor. For those of you who don't know, Dr. O is Dante's doctor seems to be in love with Dr. O, and Dr. O is working him. So Dr. O is the reason that Dante is going back. So Dr. O, even capture Dr. O is working it. I'm sorry, she really should be on contract. I live for her. She is such a breath of fresh air, and every time she comes on, I'm happy. So when they brought her back, I was wondering who he was talking to and who was working it behind the scenes. When they revealed it was Dr. O, I was like, yes, fuck you. Dr. O is going to make her way back. I need my Dr. O. I love her. So now, one of the biggest things was, of course, the return of Jackie Templeton being played by our beloved Kim Delaney, Jenny Gardner from All My Children.
Yes.
What did you think about that?
I'm so excited to have her back, and I'm excited to have her. I can't wait to see what she's going to do. Because correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so I mean, and I know this was many years ago. Jackie Templeton, back when she was played by Demi Moore, she was like an adventure gal, but she wasn't. Was she like deep as far as, did she have a lot of crying scenes? Did she have a lot of?
No, Jackie was a reporter. She was a reporter back then too. She was an up and coming young reporter. She was a bitch. She had like a game plan. She knew what she wanted out of life. And she rubbed a lot. I think a lot of audience people did not care for her. I loved her. I really loved her. But I think, and she was also brought on to be a love interest for Luke when Laura left. And they didn't seem to have, even though I liked them together, I don't know what went on behind the scenes, if he wasn't feeling her or the audience just wasn't. But eventually she wound up with Robert. And then I guess, you know, the whole Robert and Holly thing happened, and then they didn't know what to do with her, and they wrote her off.
Because
if I remember correctly, they wrote her off. I don't think Demi quit. I think they wrote her off. And it was something that a lot of audience people did not care for the character, because she was really a bitch. And she was especially a bitch to Holly when Robert chose Holly over her.
Well, because now the thing is okay, so now we have her back years later. She's lived some life. She's got some skeletons. So I'm looking forward to see her to like sink her chops into this and give us, you know, this woman can really act. So I hope that they take full advantage of her skills. And from the, you know, allow her to get in.
Right. From the article that I read, Frank reached out to her, and Frank like wined and dined her, and she was curious with the story that he projected to her. So that's what got her to say yes. So obviously they do have a storyline for her. I mean, I will say for me, it was a great reintroduction of the character. I felt like Kim nailed it. Like, I felt like that was Jackie Templeton. You know what I mean? I believed her as a reporter. I believed her as a tough ass. I was like excited. I mean, I hate the fact that she's being saddled with Chase as her son, but it's a great way to connect the character to the characters already on the canvas. And so now, not only is she Chase's son, but she's the stepmother that Finn hates so much. And why does Finn hate her? Did Finn and her sleep together? Who knows?
And maybe she'll elevate. You know, they say that sometimes with a younger actor or an actor who's not as good, if you put him with someone good, that elevates their performance.
I hope he takes them. You know? I hope he takes advantage of it and he learns from her. I really do. I mean, my whole thing is like, I was kind of like, but it is interesting that there's all those connections that Jackie has now. Now we know.
All of a sudden, that makes, for me personally, all of a sudden, that already makes Chase like 20% more interesting. Like, just because of that association.
I feel like every time Chase is away from Willow, he becomes a little bit more interesting. Him and Willow together are like the death knell. Like they're like a black hole. They can't be together. They suck the life out of everything. They're so boring together. So it's just like, this is better for him. I gotta say, Kim nailed it for me. I loved her. I loved when she decked Robert in the stomach. My mind's a little fuzzy, but I think that she decked him. If not him, she decked Luke. I know she decked one of them or both of them in the stomach. So when she did that to Robert, I was like, yes, because that was what she did back in the day. And I love that. I love Anna's reaction to it. It's just like, and her and Robert have some chemistry. Her and Tristan Rogers, that was some smoking chemistry between the two of them. I gotta say, I was just like, you know, for somebody who did not play the part, Kim just came in and made it like she was Jackie Templeton. I was ecstatic. I'm just happy to have her back. I'm a big Kim Delaney fan. I loved her on All My Children and YPD Blue, Army Wives. You know, I even loved, she had her own series on ABC called Philly that only lasted a season. And it was such a great, I was so pissed that ABC canceled after one season. So I'm glad that Kim's back. It's a shame that Dave didn't jump on her first, because I think she would have been a fucking great Hope. That would have been a great, you know, recast right there.
I think, so in order to recast Hope, I think that you need to, I'm a believer in, if it's a major iconic character, you need to rest the character for a while before you recast.
Well, I definitely feel like they need to bring the character back. I mean, it's kind of weird because, you know, people keep forgetting. Go ahead.
But this is, you've got to be careful though, because this is like, Hope is like an iconic character. So I get where he's going though, because I know for me personally, I wouldn't want to see Hope recast right away. I think it's smart for them. If they eventually recast it, great. But I think that they need to give the character like a year off before they recast and just rest. You know,
it's really funny. I mean, I agree with you. I definitely feel like there's certain characters that, like for instance, I can't see anybody playing Luke or Laura. I can't see anybody else playing Reva. But we keep forgetting that a lot of, obviously, well, Erica Kane goes without saying. I mean, there's only one Erica Kane. But we keep forgetting that there's been a lot of characters that are considered iconic roles that were recast. I mean, Days of Our Lives back in the 80s and 90s recasted characters left and right. I mean, you think about how many times Jack was recast, how many times...
Think about it this way. The Bo and Hope, like, because they tried recasting Bo, it never worked.
It did work, though. Wait. It did work. Robert Kelker Kelly was extremely popular as Bo. The reason that he was let go, again, rumor has it that the reason he was let go was because of Kristen Alfonso. She was coming back as Hope, and she felt that if she was coming back as Hope, Peter Reckle needed to be playing Bo, not Robert Kelker Kelly.
But that's exactly where I'm going with this. She was such like part of like Bo and Hope are like so iconic. They were basically that soap's Luke and Laura. So like I could never see them replacing Jeannie Francis as Laura. I could never see that. And yeah, like Susan Lucci as Erica Kane. I could never, even Bold and the Beautiful. Brooke Logan, I could never see them recasting Brooke Logan. Or even
I would love for them to do that. I would love for them to get a new Stephanie. What are you talking about that?
No, Stephanie. Stephanie.
Oh, Stephanie. Okay, they said
because, for example, they could have recast Stephanie. They did not. There's just certain characters I think if you're going to recast, if you're going to do it, fine, but you need to, you can't just jump in there and next day be like, the role is now being played.
But Kim Delaney is Kim Delaney. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to be replacing somebody, you got to replace them with somebody who is powerful, who is
backfired before, though. That's backfired on shows. That's backfired on shows before, though. They replace it with someone who they think is going to kind of have the same magic that they had on their last show, and it's too soon, and it backfires. And like I said, I'm not against them recasting her, but not immediately. Like, they seriously do. Like, you need to give it a year.
I always wondered if she wouldn't have pushed. I felt like Robert Kelker Kelly would have had chemistry. I mean, for me, it was a weird choice to put as Bo. I was actually surprised that he won the audience over, but he was popular as Bo. He really was. I mean, he had some great scene partners. Him and Lisa Rinna were popular together, and him and Krista Chappelle they were super couples. They were on the cover of Soap Opera Digest. It's interesting. It's interesting what went on. Now, the final episode, today's episode of General Hospital, was Mike's funeral. Which didn't Mike die like 3 weeks ago?
No.
Why are they having his? No, he died last week. Really?
Or late the week before. I
felt like he died like 3 years ago, and he's Catholic. I don't know. We don't wait that long. When somebody dies, we try to do it. I just felt weird that so much. For me, it felt like too much time had passed. This should have been done. I don't know, the next episode or two of at least the same week. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we're having this whole episode. There was a funeral, and I gotta say, for me, it was uneven for me. A few of the cast members moved me. A lot of them didn't. We finally saw Christina. Christina actually showed up for her grandfather. It was for his funeral. We never got to see her visit him. But all she did was she was just sitting Shiva there. She had one line or two lines. She didn't even get to speak. Meanwhile, Josh not only talked but sung. And I look, writing stuff like this it doesn't always work. You know what I mean? Your intentions are good. You're trying to go for some heartfelt stuff, and you're trying to, sometimes it could be really hokey. So this whole thing of Sonny seeing Mike and them having a conversation, I'm not saying that stuff like that has never worked for me before. I'm just saying this wasn't working for me. The same way the butterflies a few weeks ago when Brando was talking about butterflies, and then when Mike passed, they had these special effects with butterflies in the room. And I was like, that looks so Touched by an Angel from 1990s.
And
Like
like
it
I
was
said,
so.
full disclosure, I just, since I'm dealing with that in real life, I purposefully did not watch the Mike storyline, and I did not watch the funeral either, just because it's just too close to home right now for me.
It just, you didn't miss much. For me, you didn't miss much. My parents loved it. I kind of, like I said, depending on who was speaking, like when Olivia spoke, she made me feel something. But mostly everybody else, I was like the people they had speaking, Sam. Does Sam even really know Mike? I mean, I think Mike was already gone by the time Sam was on the show. Like, it just was really weird. Brando again speaking. I mean, and then there were people that, Elizabeth made me cry, because the Elizabeth's character knew Mike when Mike was on the show originally. So, why wasn't Felix there? I mean, Felix should have been there. It just, I don't know. It kind of was, like I said, the thing that really made me tear up was the very end of the episode, because Sonny had this whole thing where he was talking to Mike in his head and whatever, and saying goodbye, his final goodbyes and everything. And then Mike goes to the church doors and he opens them, and it's like this beautiful sunny day, and then he vanishes, very touched by the angel. I hate when they do special effects that are corny like that. It was just like, because it takes me out of it. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then like Sonny opens his eyes again and the doors are closed. So he starts to like go, and then the door starts to open, and when the door opened, it was Dante. And the two actors, the look that they gave each other, that made me cry. That I felt was good writing, a good thing for this father, for this man to lose his father, and then just as he's saying goodbye to him and dealing with the fact that he lost his father, his eldest son returns. That was a heartfelt moment. So yes, that moment with no dialogue, just him opening the door, seeing Dante and the look that they gave, that made me feel something. That was when I was engaged, and I was just like, oh, and I got like teary eyed, and I was like, and I hope they pick up from it tomorrow and not jump ahead. I hope that they pick up from that moment and they, give them, because the thing is, Maurice is a great actor. Dominic's a great actor. You got to write for them, though. You got to give them good material. Don't give them shitty things. Write to your actors' strengths. You got actors who can really deliver dramatic stuff, who can play. And I think Maurice is a brilliant actor. This whole mafia shit is so beneath him at this point. It's just so boring.
I like the mafia. I do. I like the mafia.
I can't.
I really like it.
All right, so that was. We're caught up in General Hospital. We're caught up in Days of Our Lives. Young and the Restless.
I liked Young and the Restless this week.
Okay, somebody did.
I liked it. Because once again, loving the whole. What would you call it? The poison pen article and the repercussions from that.
I agree with you. Billy and Victoria, Billy and Victor had a big fight that led to Billy uploading the story, and the fallout was incredible.
And it's an umbrella storyline.
It's an umbrella. The thing is, again, sadly, it all falls flat if nothing comes of it. And I don't like the fact that Victoria is already caving to it. I hope they don't go there. I hope that she stays strong, and she's like, but I agree with you. I think that the fallout from it was really good. I loved when Jack, was talking to Ashley about it. Ashley's always welcome. I love me some Abbots. So Jack, was talking to Ashley about it, and Ashley was like, no, good that he printed that story.
Right.
Ashley kept it real. Because Jack's like, Billy shouldn't have done that, and he should take into consideration and Ashley's like, fuck that shit. I want everybody to know what a fucking motherfucker Adam is. I was like, you go, Ashley. Keep it real. Ashley was not feeling that. She's like, I'm fine with it.
And then there's certain things because, and I know you're not gonna like this. I like the Phyllis losing her money story. I like that.
Oh, I like Phyllis. I like Phyllis being in trouble. I'm okay with that.
What was I gonna see? There's certain things though. Since I'm a relatively new watcher to the show, there's certain things that I'm still figuring out. Like, so then there was a baby switch at one point.
Yes, that Yeah.
And so
that
I
was
like, and that's the little girl, right? That now she's being
that's
bullied.
Sharon and Nicholas's daughter Faith. There was a baby switch with her, so she obviously never knew about it. They never told her. So this is all new to her. Now everybody knows her business. And so, yeah, there's ramifications to the Poison Pen storyline. And I agree with you. And Jason Thompson is working it, man. He is phenomenal. Every time he has confrontation scenes with Victor, with Adam, it's like the screen lights up and you're just like, why can't we have this every episode? I mean, there were some dynamite scenes with him, with Lily, because Lily was not amused. Mm-hmm. She was like, what the fuck did you do? Right. And Lily called him out on it, and Amanda called him out on it, but they were able to get, I have to say it was, the teardrop storyline is kind of stupid, but at least it gives Jack and it even gave Tracy. They actually had Tracy on this week and Lauren some airtime. I mean, not Tracy, Lauren. Lauren was on this week. We've been seeing Tracy once in a while, but this is Lauren's first time since they came back. So Jack was, confronting Lauren about it and Tracy, and he even grilled Victor about it, which I thought was really weird that Victor's going through. See, this is when you plot driven instead of character driven. Like Victor's going through all this stuff with the poison pen thing, and Jack comes to him and is like, I know you're going through all this shit, but I need to ask you about a diamond. And he's like, okay. Mm-hmm. Now come on, Victor would have been like, I don't got time for you right now, Jack. It's just like, so that scene seemed out of place and weird. There was a lot of zzz with the Newmans. I can't, when Newmans are on, they're like, Summer and Kyle are the most coma-inducing couple. Honestly, I can't deal with them. They are so boring. 2 days in a row, I felt sorry for Melissa Claire Egan's and Cameron Grimes. Two powerful actresses being wasted with garbage material that is beneath them.
Well, but then I've been thinking about this too. And on Daytime Confidential, they call it like the shit to sugar. Like you take the shitty material, and like, you take what you're given, and you kind of fucking zhuzh it up and throw your back into it and fix it. I think part of they've got to take it and fix it. You get shitty material, but you gotta,
Well, there's somebody who did that. There's somebody who did that this week on Young and the Restless. Somebody who is the MVP of the show. Mm-hmm. First of all, I want to know what the fuck did they do to Black Excellence? I mean, we're talking about plot-driven storylines. This was so wrong. Nat and Elena hooking up came out of nowhere. I mean, they did a better job than Bold and the Beautiful with the love scenes. Less is more, leave something in the imagination. But it came out of nowhere. I know that this is where it was heading, and you were kind of building up to it. But Brittany Sarpy is not being paid enough. This is what real actors do. You sell it. I was in awe of everything that she played after this, because this was a dog of a thing to do to the characters. Because, again, it came out of nowhere. Now, yes, we know that Elena's been freaking out about the fact that, Amanda's her Hillary's twin sister, and, she's been, upset and jealous. But the actual thing of her and Nate hooking up, there was no reason for it, especially from his point of view. You know what I mean? And this goes back to as writers establishing something. If for the last few months we found out that he's been harboring feelings for her, you know what I mean? That he's really been wanting her, and now he's taking advantage of her at a moment that she was weak, that I would have believed. But they've never allowed him to play that. He's always been just like, I'm your friend and everything, and da-da-da-da. We've never seen him be romantically interested in her. And so the fact that they hooked up out of nowhere was bizarre. But she, as an actress, was like, you know what? I have to somehow justify this. And she did it. And I was in awe of her, because I was like, girl, you pulled that out of your ass, because the writers obviously didn't give you that. You just played the hell out of it. And she sold it. She convinced me, at least why her character did it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I still don't know why what's his name did it, but I was glad to see him with his shirt off. Oh my God. I was like,
I don't blame him. I don't blame her.
I was like, girl, I was like, oh my God. I've been crushing on him since Greenleaf. So I was just like, but when he came out with that shirt with Al, I was like, hello. I was like, oh my God. But again, I loved when Nick walked in on them, and Nick was obviously Devon's brother, bro. You know what I mean? He was definitely him and Devon are friends. We've established that. So he was giving the side eye to Nate. You know, he was definitely like, I've been there, I know.
Oh, so he's Devon's friend? Because I'm still getting to know the dynamics.
Yeah, him and Devon are friends. They work together on projects and stuff. So he kind of like went with it towards the end. But at the beginning, he was definitely like, because how's that going to look? You just ran into her outside, and then you come in and this motherfucker's with his shirt off, like buttoning it up. Nick's not a kid. He knows. He's been there. He's done it. So he was definitely like grilling Nate at first and stuff. But I was just like, I just felt like that whole aspect was rushed. I don't know. Just again, it was good that Lily and Devon finally had a scene together and they caught up. And I love how Lily keeps Billy in check. And Nick's haircut was great. Oh, and Chloe went into labor. Do we care about Chloe? Does anybody care?
I'm still getting.
I don't know.
Like I'm still getting. That's one of those that I'm still.
The only thing that excited me about those scenes were the fact that her mother was talking to Catherine Chancellor's like portrait, and we got to see Catherine Chancellor.
Now, do they do that a lot on this show too? Like on like Gwen on Days talking to. No,
I don't. I don't think Stefano's portrait. I don't think Catherine's portrait is as ominous as
like a Bold and the Beautiful when they used to talk to Sally Spectra's portrait.
Yeah, no. I think look, for me, Billy Abbott is like carrying the show right now. Jason Thompson is showing why he won Best Actor and why he could win it next year. Honestly, he's having some great scenes and material. I'm just fine. See, this is again, we're talking about characters having personalities and everything. Right now, Billy Abbott is so freaking interesting. He is just so complex. And the way Jason's playing it. I mean, he could be with Amanda. He could be with Lily. He has chemistry with almost everybody. He's a player. He's on a mission. It kind of, and he even reminds me of Jack back in the day. When Jack was like Jack Abbott. And they need to bring Jack back. I want to see Jack get some. He needs to be.
I was gonna say one of the things that I did like actually. And like I said, I'm still getting to know the show. I liked the part where Victor was like to Victoria, basically like, you fucked up and I hope you don't fail, but you're going to fail and you're going to get it. Basically, like, I loved that scene, just the way that he looked at her and was basically like, you messed up and I'm going to destroy you. I was just like, I like that.
Yeah, but he's a vet though. I mean, you know what I mean? Like when you're giving the vets material, they're gonna give you Emmy. You know what I mean? No matter how simple the scene is, they're gonna give you an Emmy performance. That's why they're always interesting to watch. That's why I live for the veterans when they're on, because they know what to do that these younger characters like Kyle and Summer can't do. So that was Young and the Restless. Now Bold and the Beautiful. Definitely, out of all the American soap operas, this one's the worst. It's such a chore.
I liked it though too. It wasn't a chore for me this week.
What?
It wasn't a chore for me this week. I actually liked it.
Lord, I don't know how it could be. Between the horrible dialogue and the horrible acting, I just what could you I mean, even Quinn and Shauna could not save this. I mean, first of all, obviously Shauna in real life is like in quarantine because all the scenes were on phone. I mean, she was not present for anything. I mean, maybe she had to quarantine for 2 weeks because it's weird how like she was not everything was done on the phone.
The part that I like now that Katie knows.
The Katie overheard everything. Yeah, that's an old soap opera trope. People walking in and overhearing. I will say this: as many times as Shauna and Quinn kept saying over, it was bound that somebody was going to overhear them. I mean, we talked about the fact that every single episode they kept going over what happened, you know? Again, the repetitiveness of this is annoying to me. And then I don't understand. I mean, are these grown-ass adults? I mean, everybody is talking about Ridge and Brooke. Like, they don't have lives of their own. Carter's talking about it. Zoe's talking about it. It's like everybody's life revolves around Ridge and Brooke. I mean, Carter gave Quinn attitude when he showed up for the wedding. He was supposed to be officiating the wedding. Mm-hmm. And he's like talking about how like Brooke and Ridge and like Quinn should have kicked Carter's ass. I love when she was like, "Are you gonna have a problem officiating this wedding?" Because it's like that's kind of obnoxious. Like I was like, Carter, you're an ass. Like why? If you don't agree with this, you shouldn't have agreed to like officiate the wedding. It's just like, and Rena's good, but even she has her limits. I mean, this was awful writing, and I don't know if the storyline got affected because of the pandemic. Maybe it was supposed to be this whole big wedding thing that was supposed to like, you know, Katie was supposed to stop the wedding, and you know what I mean?
Right.
And instead, because of the pandemic, they had to do it the way they did it. But I just felt like this was like a non-storyline. I mean, what was the whole purpose of the Vegas trip and them doing what they did if it went nowhere? I mean, because it really didn't go anywhere. Like, did Shauna and Ridge even sleep together? Did they even consummate? No, right? He never slept with her.
We don't know.
So, but this is what I'm saying. Like, what was the whole point of all this? So now him and Brooke are back together.
They've slept together since then because Brooke went up to
the
bedroom. They were I'm sure they did. They were going to, Brooke went to the bedroom.
I know, but Brooke kind of put a damper on that. And the thing is like he chose Brooke. He was like the Bachelor. He gives Brooke a rose and he chose her. I'm like, whatever. But it's just like, this doesn't negate the fact that she told Bill that she loved him and you overheard that. What about that whole aspect? Because that was the whole thing that pissed you off, was the fact that you hate Bill so much, and she said that I'm going to always love you too. So I just was like, the fact that they end, I don't know if the fans were like, this is boring, we hate it, and they just were like, we got to end this immediately. I don't know what, because to me, it was like, what was the whole point of this? This wasn't even really a story.
I'm thinking more of what, that, because when we've seen it in other soaps too, where COVID has put a damper on storylines, because I've even been hearing that on the British soaps, it's kind of put a damper on a lot of their plans too. So I am thinking maybe this was supposed to be like a bigger, drawn out sort of a thing, but they're really limited on what they can do. Like, you know, they can't have any extras. They can't have any, you know, and Bold and Beautiful is the ones that I think they're really playing by the rules. So you can only have a
I think out of all of them, they're really, you're right. But then again, too, Eric's getting mad with Quinn. Don't you know who you married? You knew who she was. You knew that she's a loon. Like, why does this separate? Like, I don't understand how you marry somebody like that, and then you wonder why they do the shit that they do. But you knew who you were marrying when you got into it. And then again, it's just like, when was it? Like, the fact that like everybody acts like Brooke's a saint. What about all the shit that she did over the years to everybody? You know, what about the fact that she, you know, interfered with Ridge's marriage to Caroline, with Ridge's marriage to Taylor? The fact that you know, she did, you know, again, I actually felt for Quinn, honestly, when she went off on Eric and she's like, you know, she was trying to get you to dump me and da-da-da-da, and she's been interfering and I didn't want her in our life. Like, I honestly felt for Quinn. I was like, yeah, Eric, what about all that? Uh-huh. It's like, this is your ex-wife. Why is she you know, so yes, she's the mother of your children who aren't even there. And a matter of fact, none of Eric's real children, his biological children, Ridge is not his son. Biologically, we discovered that. None of his biological children are on the show. Just Ridge, you know? I don't know. I just Bold and Beautiful.
Though, I find that that's a sign of a good character. What do you call those kind of characters? Like, because Quinn, I don't consider Quinn a villain, but that, like, and once again, I keep on bringing up Tina, like her, like Tina, like Erica. I would feel sorry for them when they would get caught or their plans wouldn't go to fruition. I always.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I feel sorry for Quinn because I hate Brooke. I like I said, I'm on Team Quinn. I believe her. I was all for what she was doing, and I feel like Shauna fucked her over. Shauna really fucked her over, honestly, because no matter what, Quinn was. Yeah, she might have had her own reasons for doing what she did, but she was still your friend, and she had your back, and you literally sold her out. That was fucked up, Shauna. That was really fucked up. Because Shauna could have played it off and say, like, you know, Quinn didn't know I did it on my own. You know what I mean? She could have covered for Quinn. But instead, she was just like, you know, she didn't even try. I mean, she could have said, no, Katie overheard it wrong. It was all me, Rich. You know, she could, you know, I don't know. I just feel like, so what happens now? We're back to the status quo. That's boring. I don't want to see Brooke and Rich together. And that news Sunday is no Rome Flynn. I'm sorry.
But Rome Flynn left to go to a gig, I think.
No, Rome Flynn left because Rome Flynn's hot and he could work again, and he's been working. He was on. He had a recurring role on The Haves and the Have-Nots on the Tyler Perry show, and then he was on the last 2 seasons of Murder, She Wrote. And I'm sorry, Rome Flynn can act. Not Murder, She Wrote. How to Get Away with Murder. Murder, She Wrote. So sorry. But Rome Flynn, you know, I'm a huge fan of Rome Flynn. I think he's the baby's daddy for sure. So, like, yeah, he's no Rome Flynn. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll grow. I mean, maybe he'll, like, but right now I'm not. And then I don't understand. He was with Nicole, and, like, he just comes back, and he's back for one episode. He tells me and her, we tried to work it out. It didn't work out. And now he's, like, hitting on Zoe. I'm like, wow. Really? Like,
yeah, but that's in Bold and Beautiful's wheelhouse. Remember when Thomas came back and was like, Caroline's dead? Like, all of a sudden, like, the year before, she dominated the storylines, and then all of a sudden she's dead.
Oh, I can't with you. So.
They do that.
So now we go over to the pond to our British soap operas, which I'm living for the British soap operas. I really am. And
where should we start? Which one shall we start?
We let us start with which one do you want to start with?
I don't know. Coronation Street.
All right, let's start with Coronation Street because, as we all know, Coronation Street is, out of the four of them, Coronation Street is my favorite, even though I love all four of them equally. And the thing, again, with the British soap opera is that the reason that one of the many reasons that I think they're so much better is, first of all, the writing. Writing is so important. It really is. Writing can make or break a show. And the thing that I'm realizing watching all four of these shows is how well written these shows are. The dialogue is intelligent, it's crisp, it's witty at times, and more importantly, it's real. It's the way that people really talk and interact with each other. And Coronation Street does it the best. They are amazing. And again, so much happens in these shows. Deb and the twins came back. And now Asha is Asha, right?
Yeah.
Now Asha has something else up her ass. She's insisting on being with the boy who in a way was kind of responsible for that photo getting out. I mean, he didn't do it on purpose, but he's a little bit of a turd. And now she's being really obnoxious. She's like digging her heels as she wants to be with him. And she's really causing grief for her brother and her father. And I think something's going to happen to her father. It seems like every time he starts getting upset, he seems to be a little bit off health-wise. And I'm wondering if he's going to wind up having some kind of like stroke or something from all the stress.
I agree. Because he's got all the stress, like the money stress and...
Yeah. But this is, when we talk about teens acting like teens, I feel like these are real teenagers. The issues that she's dealing with, the things that's what real teenagers do. They're not saints. Their hormones are out of control. I remember when I was that age, I was a nightmare. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not saying that all kids are like that. I know that some kids are good kids and stuff. I'm just saying I really would love to see, I love seeing things that I feel like are a little bit more relatable and realistic. So watching Asha and her brother fight, and because a perfect example, her brother's the better one. And I feel bad for him because he feels neglected. He feels that the father is always dealing with her and her drama, and he's like non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a lot of resentment too. Nick found out that his crazy ex-girlfriend Natasha really did have a kid with him.
I love that little kid.
That kid, again, loved the fact that these soap operas cast little young actors that are freaking talented. This little kid is brilliant. He has a personality. He's like this brainiac who absorbs like all this information, and he's so intelligent, and he's so adorable. Like, I want him to be my kid.
Right.
I could see why Nick is already like feeling him, because how could you not? How could you not meet this kid and be glad to find out that this is your child? You know what I mean? So again, a perfect example of great writing, great casting. And unfortunately, it's coming at the worst possible time for him, because his stepson with his wife, or I don't know if they're currently, are they married?
They're not married. No,
they're not married. But they might as well be. His partner, Leanne, and her biological son, but his stepson is dying, Oliver. And he doesn't know how to go about telling her what's going on with him. And I just felt like this was brilliant writing. This was a brilliant idea on their part to have this happen at this time, because he's so conflicted. You know, he wants to get to know his son, but yet how can he do that when she's losing hers? You know? So I'm loving that. I love the family relations. Every time that Adam and Daniel have scenes, or Sarah and David, I love it. The writing is always so great, and it's so believable. Like, you believe that they're relatives.
So I have a
feeling, little in jokes. What?
Because you mentioned Adam, I have a feeling, and I haven't read this. This is just me. I have a feeling they're gonna put Adam and Carla together.
Well, I know why you feel that. We'll get to that. I know why you feel that. Another important thing on all these British soap operas, what American soap operas used to have, was the supporting characters. For instance, on Coronation Street, how boring would Coronation Street be without characters like Mary, Sean, Nina, Emma, Bernie, you know? And I remember All My Children was known for having these kind of characters. You know what I mean? You need the supporting characters. They give the main characters something to work off of. And the reason that you feel that is because there were some brilliant scenes with Abby, Peter, Kevin, and Carla. For those of you who don't know, Abby went off the wagon in a very realistic way for me. You know, she's been trying to hide it from Kevin. Now, his sister, Debbie, is it Debbie, right?
Yeah, Debbie.
Debbie's been staying with them, and Debbie's smart as a whip, and she's been reading between the lines, and she's been putting two to two together, and she knows. So she's been on Abby. Finally, Abby confessed to her, and it seemed like everything was squared away, but then she kept seeing Abby with Peter. Not with Peter. Yeah, with Peter, right?
With Peter. Yeah, with Peter.
Yeah, with Peter. And obviously, Debbie has some history with Peter, because when she ran into Peter at the store, she read him down. Like, my mouth dropped open. I was like, word. She put him in, and she made him feel like the biggest piece of dirt. And she like read him like the filth that he is. I was like, damn. I was like, wow, that's great writing. And, you know, and he told her, like, you're misreading the whole thing. But again, it became a ripple effect, because then Carla found out and Kevin found out, and they were not happy. And this was exactly what Peter and Abby were dreading. And because Debbie went ahead and told Kevin that they were doing it, even though they weren't. And then Carla found out, and it just blew up. And then the ripple effect was incredible, because then Adam got involved, you know, because him and Peter are relatives, and Peter was talking to him. And then he was having his own issues with Sarah, his ex. Well, they're not divorced yet, but, you know, and Carla went and confronted Adam, and because Carla was trying to hook Sarah and Adam up and get them back together, and Sarah wound up walking in on Adam hooking up with one of his exes. So when Carla found out, she went and she was giving Adam the riot act for fucking it up with Sarah, but then Adam threw the whole Peter thing in her face. And about her being frigid and everything. and she was not having it. And again, very character driven scenes. The dialogue was very real. The only things that people that you really know, because they're related, they're not related by blood, but they're related by marriage and stuff. They're like kind of family. And you know, the people that know you the best, they're the ones that hurt you the most. And so the things that were said were harsh, and I was just riveted by it all. Those scenes with, and so I could see how something could wind up happening between Carla and Adam,
because she's already slept with Daniel. Her and Daniel had a thing when she first came when he first came on the show.
Yeah, there was a lot of fallout with Carla and Peter, and I loved Carla and Peter's scenes. They were very realistic, you know, like a real couple. You know, it was like a real couple that are having issues. You know, and the same thing with Adam and Sarah. Their stuff is really good. Daniel stole money from Nikki. He stole money from Jeff. And that was a whole thing that played out. There was a whole ripple effect to that. He was trying to help the woman that he likes, that's a hooker, get her out of the business. So he found Jeff's money. But we all know that Jeff is a nasty piece of work, and he was not going to take that line down. So he kept pushing and pushing to the point that Daniel had to confess. Otherwise, Adam was going to, you know, be involved in this.
And then
so
Adam caught him. I like how Adam busted him because and like the CCTV in the UK, it's that like there's CCTV like on the street, like CCTV is a big thing. And so the CCTV is like, you know, so basically the way that Jeff was blaming Adam, and then someone brought up, well, Adam, why don't you just go look at your CCTV and you can find out who found the money. And Adam had already suspected Daniel anyway, so he told the story that he was going to go look at the CCTV. So Daniel basically went back to the scene of the crime, and then Adam's like, you know, I don't have CCTV, you're busted. And so Daniel had to confess, basically. Yeah. I mean, it again, really riveting stuff. You know, he's trying to help Nikki get out of the business. And it just, I love how all of this played out. You know what I mean? It was so layered. There were so many layers, so many people involved. And Adam was really pissed at Daniel. And at one point he told Daniel, like, you know what? If we weren't freaking related, I would have washed my hands of you. Because he's at the end of the ropes with Daniel right now, you know? A big storyline that played out these last few episodes was Michael and Grace. Wow. Oh my God.
I did not see that twist coming. And when the reveal happened, my mouth dropped open and I just started crying. Grace has been playing them for months. At first, I didn't know what the fuck was going on with Grace. Michael was ready to propose, and you know, he wanted them to be a family, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, she's like, "Well, that can't happen. I'm moving to Spain." I'm like, "What? Where the fuck does that come from?" Like she literally came out of nowhere with that, and I'm like, "Where are they going with this? This is so weird." And then like she kind of hinted that there was another man, and Michael got infuriated, and then he kidnapped the baby because he was trying to delay her from leaving to Spain, and the police came and wound up arresting him. And, you know, the whole family's freaking out, his brother and father, because the mother's still in quarantine as a nurse. No, now she's not in quarantine. She's taking care of a relative.
Right. But I think that part of that is because there's still
because
like
the actresses,
the actress, like just health, like a lot of like the older actors or the actors at risk. They're still keeping them away from the set. Right,
exactly. So, you know, this was like unbelievable. And I'm wondering where they're going to go with this. And then at one point, Michael is coming into the police station, and the guy is holding the baby's teddy bear. And he assumes that that's, you know, the woman that Grace is going to, you know, seeing that she's leaving with him. And he's like, "You're not taking my child." And the guy's just looking at him like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then they're interrogating him. And then finally the truth comes out, and the officer tells Michael that Grace is the baby's nanny. That's not her daughter. She was the nanny, and he's been lied to all these months. And I literally my jaw dropped. I could not believe what I was watching. And he was so brilliant in his performance. I mean, could you imagine?
Right.
I mean, what kind of fucked up human being does something like that? And this went on for months.
But she's pregnant. She's pregnant, though.
Yes, that's the scandal thing. The thing is, she actually thought that she had convinced him to run away with her before the police arrested her. And unbeknownst to him, she's pregnant. She had a kit. She had a test, and it was positive. And so she was ecstatic because she felt like she got her man, but instead he called the police on her, and she got arrested. And like I said, I was blown. See, this is what I'm talking about. Why can't the American soaps have something interesting like this? I was blown away by this storyline, and like I said, everybody's performance was so brilliant. The guy who plays Michael, he shined so much. The heartbreak that you could feel it. You know, I was watching and I was just like, because he believed this was his daughter for the last 8 months.
Right.
And, you know, he was hoping that he would get to see her. And the father actually came to visit him and the grandfather. And he told them, he said, no, this is not healthy. We need a clean break. And, you know, and again, it's like, yeah, the reality is, that is what needs to happen. But you can't help but feel for Michael. I mean, my God, he thought this was his child.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I again, riveting. I was just like, wow.
I love the scene. Like, he's being interrogated, and then the police officer's like, I'll be right back. And that's when I was like, what the hell is going on? Because she was just like, she got really weird. She's just like, hold on a minute, you know? And just the fact I do like that. Yeah, like, definitely this twist, because I knew when she showed up, I had a feeling, it's gonna turn out he's not the father, and like I knew, like, I just had a feeling that was gonna happen. But yeah, the fact that they did it with this twist was just like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, the Leanne and Oliver story has been heartbreaking. Leanne and Steve have been heartbreaking to watch them go through. They're in total denial that their son. What?
Another prediction. And this is just me, I haven't read anything. I think that Tracy and Steve will end up breaking up, and Nick and Leanne will end up breking up.
Well, I mean, go ahead.
Because, like, you know, part of it is like, just because they want to get this treatment in Germany, so like they've got to make all this money, and so Steve's idea is, well, let's start selling our businesses, which Tracy was at first on board until she realized the baby's terminal, the baby's gonna die, so why am I gonna sell this? And basically, you know, she's like, I'm saving for our daughter, and this is our daughter's future, and, you know, it would be a waste for me to sell this business and to sell our income, B, our daughter's future, when the baby's gonna die. Like, they've been told baby's gonna die, and there's nothing they can do.
I mean, the thing is, and this is, again, great writing, great storytelling, very realistic. I mean, there's no right or wrong, no good people or villain. I mean, this is a father and a mother who are unable to take a step back and look at this realistically. Their son is terminal. They're in denial about it. They're you know, and your heart breaks because, of course, you want to do anything that you can to save your child. But the thing is, there's nothing that can be done. His condition is terminal. And you know, for Nick and for Tracy, they can take a step back and look at this, and that's what happened. And unfortunately, you're killing the messenger, you know. And Steve was so hurtful to Tracy. The things that he said to her were so wrong. So, and I get where it's coming from. He's not thinking clearly, but man, did I feel bad for her. I mean, because he basically said all she's thinking about is money, and you know, and it was so unfair. And then Leanne was the same way with Nick, because Dick eventually, because he was supposed to be meeting his son, And then Leanne flipped on him because he kept getting these texts, and finally he had to tell her the truth. And, you know, at first it seemed like Leanne was like, okay, I want to meet him, like, tell them to come here, blah, 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 blah. But then the reality of the situation, when she met him and the little boy's adorable and he's talking about it, and at first it seemed like Leanne was like, oh, you know, but then it hit her. Her son's never going to be this age. Her son's never going to get to be an astronaut or be whatever he wants to be. And when that reality hit, she was like, I got to get back to Oliver. And it ended with her telling Nick, I know I should be happy for you. I know I should be okay with this, but I can't be okay with it. I can't even look at you. I want you to go. And Nick was like, what? And she's like, I want you to go. I can't even look at you. And again, coming from such a place of hurt, you know what I mean? Like, again, there's no right or wrong. There's a villain here. It's just like, unfortunately, she's going through what she's going through. He's going through what he's going through. This is great drama. This is great writing. This is great storytelling. My heart breaks for these characters. I was like, I just sat there like a mess. I was like, wow, such powerful stuff. Such, you know, and it's not all doom and gloom. There's a lot of fun stuff. Gail and Eileen are back, thank God.
Right.
I loved when Eileen was grilling Sean, he's like, I'm scared of her.
Eileen's the best. I love Eileen.
Eileen's the best. It's those little moments. It's those little moments that crack me up on Coronation Street. Like watching the 2019 storyline. I love. See, this is what I'm talking about. Even good writing.
It kind of bums me out though that you didn't go. That you couldn't. I didn't know. Are you capable of going even further back?
No.
Because Eileen, when I first started, the big villain of the show was this guy named Pat Phelan, right? And he like murdered a bunch of people, and he was married to Eileen, right? And so, so like his final story, one of his final storylines was he and Eileen were arguing. He fell over this cliff, right? And he was holding on to this, like he was gonna fall into the ocean. And he's like, help me. And Eileen stepped on his fingers.
Oh, I love stuff like that. Well, but that's what I'm saying. It's all character driven. Like you think about like, what would you do if you were a character? Like if this was really happening to you, what would you do? You know? And I think, and in good writing, you know, no matter how serious or dramatic a storyline is, you need to have some humor in it because that's how we get through life. When things are really horrible, don't we always try to like do an inappropriate joke? We try to like break the tension or whatever. And a perfect example in the 2019 episodes was, you know, the Daniel and Sinead storyline. It's heartbreaking. It is just riveting drama. Poor Sinead is, you know, terminal, and Daniel's going through it. So in this episode, Daniel and her have like this fight, and she tells him, go to the party without me. Just go. You need to get away from me. I don't want to see you. Everybody loves saying that. Get out of my sight. I don't want to see you. So Daniel goes to the party, and he gets like wasted. And he gets there, and Steve and Eileen are sitting there. And the minute Daniel walks in, Steve's like, well, I wouldn't be out partying if Tracy was about to kick the bucket. And Eileen didn't miss a beat. She was like, the rest of us would. And I was like, Eileen is the queen of shade. She is like British people's answer to B. Arthur. Like she is Dorothy Spornak. Like she comes out with these one-liners, and I like literally had to rewind it because I was like, she just did not say that. It was just like, and Kathy was sitting next to her, and Kathy busted out. Because for those of you who don't know, Tracy's like a bitch. Tracy, but see, I don't even want to say that Tracy's a bitch. You know what it is? Tracy has a personality. You know, she's that kind of person.
Well, she was pretty like she's one of these characters. She was evil. Evil. Like she killed somebody and went to prison and got out on a technicality. Like she's reformed bad.
Right. But what I'm saying is that you know, people like you or people don't. You know what I mean? People either get you. Like all these characters are very human. There's no, you know, good or they're just real. They're like real people. You know. Abby rules. She saved the wedding. She was not having. she was not having Twisted Jeff fuck up the wedding for Sally and Tim. So she fainted. She faked that she was like sick, and she wound up getting Jeff to come to the place, and she locked him in the I don't know what that area the house is, and she kept him there until the wedding was done. I thought Craig and Faye were they had like these cute little scenes, and he was so good because he likes her, and I'm rooting for them. I see his little stuff like that. So there are also some really beautiful moments. The vicar telling Paul that he's brave and brilliant.
Didn't you say, someone said he's like the worst boyfriend ever? Didn't you say that?
Well, I didn't say that, but I did say that when I'm not saying that he's a great character. I mean, I still think it's kind of fun. I think it's fucked up that he's obsessed with his ex, but I did love the moment when he told Paul, "You're brave and you're brilliant," because Paul's decided to try to like work through his grief and what happened to him by doing this like phone thing of like reaching out to people. And at first the vicar was like on his ass, but then he's doing what a boyfriend should do, which is support. Whether you think it's wrong or not, this is what he wants to do right now to try to get him through that. Support him. So it was a nice scene where he actually told Paul, and he's supporting him and stuff. And Todd is here. We haven't seen him officially yet, but he's definitely there.
Now,
he was
this is going to be interesting.
Apartment.
Talking about iconic characters because the other guy who played Todd had played Todd for I think 20 years, because he had his whole coming out thing. And he had played it since he was a teenager, because at one point before Todd was gay, he and Sarah, when they were little kids, had a thing. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, because the actor didn't leave on his own accord. What happened?
Yeah, I know.
In the UK, unlike the United States, if you have scandal, your show will fire you. They don't give a shit. And so in the Me Too, this guy was in a Me Too incident and went to court and pleaded guilty. And he didn't go to jail, but the show was like, okay, we're done with you. And it happened mid-storyline. So it literally happened mid-storyline, and the storyline, they came out with this hasty reason. Oh, he went on the run. And that was but that was just kind of a last minute thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. And I looked at the actor, and the actor looks nothing like the old Todd, who I think you would have liked. But,
well, I'm curious to see this new actor and the character, because I think they did a really good job of reintroducing him and building up the suspense and everything. And now I'm curious. I'm excited to see who this actor is, how this character is going to affect everybody. So again, great writing. And now we go to Emmerdale Farm.
Okay, I gotta tell you.
I have not seen any of the episodes from this week. I'm all caught up. I just 3 episodes. I didn't see Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and Thursdays haven't come up. They come up by now.
Next week, I want your take on, without revealing anything, Jamie's gonna try to be a villain and then go to Kim to tell you what he's done, and Kim will give him an opinion about his villainy. I can't wait for
I thought that happened. That already happened already. I saw that. That was last week. That wasn't this week.
When he talked to her online?
That was last week.
Oh, then you're caught up.
That was last week.
Okay.
No, I haven't seen this week's episode.
Oh, since
I
Monday.
haven't seen Monday, Tuesday. Yeah.
Jamie is the worst villain ever.
No, well, let us get into that. Let us talk about, first of all, we talked about last week that I have this huge crush on Priya. The new Kieran is hot. I have to say, I got to give props to the writers for keeping it real. When Will found out the truth about Harriet, his reaction was so realistic. He was so cruel. It was so good to finally see a character be pissed about somebody cheating on him. I'm so tired of American soap operas where somebody cheats and they're like, oh, and they forgive them. No, he was he basically read her like filth. I was just like, wow. I was mesmerized by the way he tore into her. I also love the girl. What is the girl, the daughter of the wheelchair guy?
Oh, Amelia.
Amelia, that's right. I gotta remember her name. I love Gabby, Sarah, and Amelia. They're so realistic teenagers. I love their storylines. She's trying to take care of her father. He peed on himself. She flipped out. I mean, she's dealing with a lot. Gabby's going through her own issues, which I'm loving. And I'm loving Sarah, even though she hasn't been on in a while. The Dingles, blood is thicker than anything. I'm loving the Dingles. I love Chaz and Charity reaming Patty for going against the family code. I love that they'll save the day. Code. I love that they'll save the day. That was a nice twist. Belle had been playing Jamie all this time, and just so she can get proof, because there was really no proof. It was just his word. So she strung Jamie along, and she dicked him over, and she proved that family comes first. And I was not expecting that. I kind of thought maybe. I said maybe. But she did a good job. And, the gay Dingle's back. Loving him, loving his storyline. He was thinking that this guy is hot, but he finds out this is the guy that he used to bully back in when they were in school. And their storyline was so good, like them talking about what happened and stuff. And now he came, he told him the truth. He was like, well, I'm gay now. He goes, yeah, I kind of got that. He's like, I'm ashamed of what I did. I was really loving all that. Did you like that?
I loved. I almost cried at that part because it's like,
yeah, it just was really a nice change of pace.
And the backstory was like during that time, Aaron, like it came out a couple of years ago that the backstory was like his dad molested him. So the time when he was beating this kid up was during the time that he was being molested.
Getting molested, yeah.
And so it totally made sense that, when you're hurt, what do? You go and hurt someone else who's weaker than you. You know what I mean? It was like, but yeah, no, I'm enjoying the storyline. I want to see, and I like the actor. I like the actor who plays the potential new love interest.
Yes, I do. I like them. And now the one who plays Gay Dingle, Aaron, that's his name?
Yeah.
He's straight in real life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I could tell. Don't get me wrong. He's doing a good job. I don't, it's not like I don't believe him. I do believe him, but I was like, he's probably straight in real life. But, but he's really good. I really, really enjoy watching him. I love his interaction with his mom. I love Mandy trying to hook up Vinny and Liv, and she did not know what asexual was. That was hysterical.
I love that.
That was hysterical. Paul, it winds up still have his gambling addiction, and that whole storyline was amazing.
That broke my heart. When he
I don't know if I've ever seen somebody explain their gambling addiction the way that he did when he was trying to get Vinny to understand, because I don't think that Vinny was making light of it, but yeah, when you think of like gambling, you don't think of, you think of like, oh yeah, like alcohol, drugs, those are serious addictions. Gambling is like nothing. And an addiction is an addiction. No matter what you're addicted to, it's something that overpowers you and takes over your life. And the way he was trying to get Vinny to understand what it's like for him as a gambling addict. He was like, there's a 2-to-1 odds that you're going to use your right hand to put up and I was just mesmerized. I was mesmerized by the dialogue, the way the actors portrayed it. I agree with you 100%. It was heartbreaking to watch, because obviously this man wants to be a father to his son. He wants to be back with Mandy, but he's an addict, man. He's an addict, and he's not in no way over it. It ended with him placing a bet after 2 days of him trying his best to get Vinny not to tell Mandy and for Vinny to forgive him. And then Vinny finally does it. And what does he do when Vinny walks out the room? He makes a bet. So there's unfortunately more for this to come. Thank God Lydia's test came back negative because
Yes.
with these British soap operas, everybody's terminal. So I was just sitting there crying, thinking that they were going to tell her that she has the disease. And then when they said they were negative, I was like, thank God, because I would have been heartbroken. I love Lydia and Sam, and thank God for Samson. He's back.
I love Samson.
Oh my God.
Samson. Yeah, I was like, oh, Samson grew up while he was, because the character had been in France on a school trip, but the school trip lasted for like 6 months. I was like, oh, Samson grew up.
He is really, really hot. He's legal, right?
I don't know.
Because now you just told me that he was on a school trip. I'm like, how old is he?
Let's see. I'm going to Google him.
I hope he's legal.
No,
I don't want to feel like Michael Jackson.
Let's see. Who plays Samson Dingle? Who plays... He got tall. That's for sure.
Got it. I don't want nobody accusing me of being Kevin Spacey. I hope he's legal.
Okay,
that's all I can say.
What do you consider of age?
How old is he? Just tell me how old he is.
16.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's like a perv. Okay, forget about it. He's still hot, but he's a hot 16. All right.
You got 2 years.
I will say, I'm not feeling Luke and Victoria. I don't know if it's because, the whole pandemic thing and they can't really touch each other. But right now, he seems gay and she seems like a lesbian.
well, because he is gay.
I'm not buying them as a couple.
He's dating the guy who played his brother.
I know, but I don't know. I get a lesbian vibe from her. I'm like, I just don't feel. Like I said, maybe if they were hugging each other and kissing each other, but right now the way they just seem like friends. They don't seem like lovers. Their scenes are very weird to me.
The reason the character cut her hair like that is because the whole storyline with them, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm not buying them right now.
The character cut her hair off. So
yeah, I know. I'm still not buying them. Now, Manpreet's nasty sister showed up to town, and we're talking about getting like a Tina Lord.
Yes.
I think we got Tina in spades with this one. She's not been on the show for 2 days, and she's caused a lot of havoc. She was throwing herself at Billy, which got Dawn all jealous, and Dawn threw something at her, and then she got Dawn arrested. And then Manpreet finally came out with why she hates her sister. Her sister slept with her husband.
Right.
She's nasty. Manpreet's sister's nasty. She's gonna cause a lot of trouble, and I love it.
She is, because you didn't watch. You didn't watch this week yet. She's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I know. She's not going anywhere. Well, Harriet seems to have left town, and will let her. I don't know if again with these British soaps, you never know when they're leaving, if they're really leaving for good. I hope Harriet isn't leaving for good, but it seemed like she was. We'll see if Will, Dawn was trying to talk some sense into Will and say, if you still love her, go out. And he admitted that he still loves her, that he's going to love her. But I agree with Will. It's like, how can you look over the fact that you slept with his enemy, I thought the scenes with Kane, Tracy, and Nate were really good. It was great seeing Kane being a dad in his own Kane way. It was nice seeing Kane trying to be a dad in his own way. He was giving Nate advice about Tracy, and he was there for Tracy, even though Kane is like the grumpy old man. He gives everybody such shade and attitude. I love him. He is, right. And he's such a zaddy. I think he's so hot. Oh my God! Did I tell you I had a dream last week that I was a dingle?
Of Kane Dingle?
I dreamt that I was a dingle. Like I dreamt that I was in Emmerdale and I was Kane's son.
Well,
and I just told him that I was his son.
There's dingles of every race.
It was so weird. I woke up and I'm like, I'm dreaming of Emmerdale. I'm dreaming that I'm a dingle. I love the dingles.
Gay dingles, trans dingles.
I also thought that there was some great writing with the Patty and Chas storyline, their whole trouble, their domestic trouble, and what they're going through as a couple, and because again, we look at Young and the Restless, and we're talking about like Elena hooking up with Nate. But see, what's happening now with Chaz maybe hooking up with Al, it looks like they're going that way. This is very realistic. Her and Patty are going through some real issues. They're going through some real troubles. A couple has to be like going the same track, and they're like on two different tracks right now in their lives. They, you know, and again, there's no right or wrong. It's just unfortunately the way things are happening, you know. And every time they seem like to be caught, you know, turning a corner and patching up, something fucks up. You know, you know, they had this disagreement about how to not celebrate, but how to handle the anniversary of their daughter's death. They didn't see it the same way. And then when she finally caved in and she's like, well, you know what, tomorrow we're going to, you know, I'll do this picnic with you and we'll do it right the way you want it. And he's like, okay. But something that she accused him of the other day was that he's always about work. And again, that's what wound up happening. He got stuck at work and she was left alone and she was feeling lonely. And then Al shows up and she's like, hey, you want to go eat? And he's like, yeah. So see, if something happens between them, it's something that is happening organically. You know, there's a reason for it because she's not getting from her man what she needs, but she's getting it from this other man. And his father is keeping an eye. His father, Bear, is like all about that. He sees what's happening. I like Bear too. And I love the shade that Bear threw. When Patty came in and said, oh, I got to work today, Jamie called out. And he's busy with something, and Bear was like, Bear didn't miss a beat. He's like, what, running over people? And I was like, the shade. The Brits love the shade. I swear to God, they're like, this is shade. I was like, woo! But I'm loving it. I'm loving the whole thing with Al and Jess. And yes, Patty and Chad travel very good. Yes, the twist with Jamie has been very, very interesting.
Worst villain ever.
I gotta give Jamie, Andrea, and Belle props because I was really hard on them when I first started watching Emmerdale, but they're really nailing all of this now. Jamie, at times, Jamie's like a little kid in his father's suit. You know what I mean? It's like, because at times he tries to act like he could be like this villain, like Kane or Kim, like a badass. And then all somebody has to do is say something, and then he reverts back to being a little bitch. And I gotta give him credit as an actor because he plays that really well. Like he's trying to be hard ass with Andrea. He's like, you know, you don't want to. And then she'll like say something. He's like, but wait, don't, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, I'm like, dude, like really butch it up. Like stop being a little bitch and like man up and like, you know. And I gotta give him props for playing the hell of that. But you're absolutely right. He came up with this elaborate thing to get back and clear his name, and he's throwing the cops in Belle and Nate's direction and saying that they did it, and he's making it's really evil what he's doing because he's using Belle's history, her mental illness against her, and again it's this he said she said thing. So he's all proud of that when he calls Kim on the phone. He's telling her on the computer, he's like, yeah, I did all this and this and this. And without missing a bit, Kim's like, wait a minute, what about Andrea? And he's like, what? And it's like, you're an idiot. And she's like, you know, and it's like, you're not your mother. You will never be your mother. You are so, and I was like, the shade. I was just like, you're an idiot. It's like, yeah, this is one big hole in your fucking plan. So for me, I ended last Friday's episode with him confronting Andrea about that, trying to convince her. And she's like, no, me and Bella are going to stick together. And then just before Jamie left, she goes, but there is one thing. So I got to pick up Monday's episode to see what happens. I'm like, if Andrea's going to sell out, I think Andrea's going to sell out Bella and Nate, and that's fucked up.
Let's just say this. You will have a lot of respect for Andrea. Andrea is with what she does, she's a boss. All right. Well, I'm hoping she doesn't sell out because I got to tell you, the thing that I loved about this whole twist was, and I've been saying this for a while now. Jamie is he is such a nasty piece of work, and not even because he's nasty like in a bad way. It's just like he's such a loser. You know what I mean? Like nobody, like none of these women deserve. They could all. Andrea could do better. Belle could do better, and that's why I love this whole twist because it really seemed like Belle was with him and she was, you know, being with him. But no, she was playing. She realized what an asshole he is. Oh, the way Sam. He treats How do you people. Mean Sam?
Yeah, I mean, the way he treats her, and then even the way he did Andrea, like when he was telling Andrea, when he was trying to convince her, oh, you know, you're a great mom, da da da. And then when he was with Belle, he was like, oh yeah, she bought it hook, and she overheard all that. He was like, she bought it hook, like she's such an idiot. Like, and I was like, and the way he's talking about her to Belle, and I'm sitting there watching Belle, like, if he talks about Andrea like that, what does he say about you? That's what my mother always told me. When you're with somebody who talks smack about everybody else, don't think for 1 second that when you're not around, they're not going to be talking smack about you, because that's the kind of person they are. And so, you know, I was so happy about that, because Jamie is such a freaking loser. And I can't wait for him to get his comeuppance. I really can't.
And another thing that's like so funny too is before you started watching it, Jamie's cousin Joe was on the show. And Joe was like the opposite of Jamie. So he was like really sexy, but he was like really like smart and devious and sneaky. So it's funny to see how like Joe's replacement is like a dumbass.
So we go from Emmerdale Farm to Hollyoaks Village, where Stuart and Mitchell's vows made me cry. Their wedding was so beautiful. We already talked about all the sad things that went down, who got demised, and
because I want to say something, but I don't want to ruin it.
Well, I'm not watching it on Daily Emotion. I'm watching it on Hulu, and we're 2 weeks behind. So I don't want to ruin it for you. I didn't watch 2 episodes from this week. Not this week, you know, but you know what I'm talking about. So yeah. I can talk about what I because I can't watch Daily Emotion. I watch it. I like it on Hulu.
So I'll let you lead the conversation. So I don't.
So you're cut up. All right. So did you see the stuff with John Paul offers to kiss and David? Those 2 episodes.
Okay.
How intense was that? How intense was that?
That was fucked up.
How? This is what pisses me off. Why can't the gays get this kind of material in America?
Right.
That was so riveting and so dynamic and so powerful.
And I like how like they brought him in as like this good, nice guy. PC case.
But he's not.
Oh no. Ooh.
Well, we don't know the whole story, but it seems like Kiss has a lot of issues, and he likes playing with people's heads. And George, and at the end of the day, John Paul tells David that he's choosing the light, but it might be that David actually might be the lighter out of the two.
Right.
So John Paul might be making a huge mistake, but he almost went with David. Him and David came really close to hooking up and kissing in that jail cell, but Kiss came in at that moment and broke it up. But Kiss has issues. We don't know exactly. It's too soon to tell, but right now it doesn't look good that Kiss is all there. It looks like he's one of those people that gets off on fucking with people's heads. But again, that's one side of the story. We don't know the whole thing yet, but it doesn't look good. I will say that. And you know, John Paul and David have a complicated past. And as much as John Paul wants to make it seem like he doesn't have feelings for David, he obviously does. Mm-hmm. There's obviously something there. He could deny it all he wants, but there's something there.
I like, and
they're good.
I'm newer to the show, but I like them together.
Another blooming romance is Cher and Romeo, and I thought their scenes were really hot. I loved Goldie and Joel trying to hook the two of them up, and all of that, and him applying for a job at the restaurant and Cher giving him, you know, grief. I love that. I love the teens in the show. I love realistic teen storylines.
I have a question.
You know.
Does that girl always wear a side pony like every?
Who?
the
Juliet?
drug dealer girl. Yeah.
Yeah, Juliet. Yeah. That's her hairdo, dude. It's you know, I love that the teens are realistic. I love that Imran's mother was out and they threw this house party and there were drugs involved and the party got out of hand. I love that Ali acted like a realistic teen. You know, as much as he's trying to be noble and as much as he loves Brooke. You know, he's human. And you think about being that age and you're trying to deal with somebody, you know, for those of you who don't know, Brooke is autistic. And, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot it's a lot being in a relationship with a person, just, but when you're dealing with somebody who has special needs, and finally he just lost it on her. I mean, it was harsh what he said, but, he had gotten to the point where he was frustrated, and he said some really hurtful things to her. But he's also going through a lot himself. We discover that he confronted the man who molested him, and he didn't get the response that he was hoping for, an apology. There's other stuff that he's been dealing with. Them giving their child away, even though he didn't want to, but Brooke did. So he has, for somebody who's supposed to be like 16 and carefree, he hasn't really had a carefree life, and so he's human, and all he wanted to do was to hang out with his friends, and Brooke, is autistic and she can't deal with that kind of a crowd and that loud music, and he blew up at her, because for one moment he just wanted to be normal. And he couldn't be because of her, and he put the blame on her, and it was just really real. I felt like it was, I felt like I was watching a real fight, a real argument between two people, and like, again, he could have handled it better, but he's a kid. So I really enjoy watching the teens on these soaps being teens, being human and making mistakes and not always knowing the right things to say, and sometimes just fucking up, Sid, the young actor who plays Sid, is amazing. He is such a great actor. And that scene where, and again, one of the reasons that I love him is because that one episode, at the beginning of the episode when he's with his cousin Jordan, and he doesn't want to do the whole drug thing and be like in the band and doing the drugs. And, he's so vulnerable, and you feel sorry for him, and you're like, your heart goes out to him. But then at the end of the episode, when he's selling drugs at the house party and Imran is, on him, oh, where's Ollie? You see that evil side of Sid, you know what I mean? He like turns on Imran. He's like, oh my God, he's like so mean. And you're like, what happened to that kid at the beginning that I felt sorry for? Now I just want to slap him upside his head.
He has a punchable face.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like at a drop of a dime, he could change like that. And to me, that's reality, man. People are complex. It's not as simple as saying, oh, this is a good guy. No, it's like people have good sides and dark sides, and they have moments and they have moods. And basically, he told Imran that Ali's been doing drugs. So now we found out that Ali's doing drugs too. And it's like, wow. So this drug epidemic thing is going to be big. And I think that's why I love these British soap operas, is like the characters, again, it's like you think that you know them, and you think that you got a handle on them, and you realize that there's more to these people. Like, for instance, Mercedes, again, I'm watching, just like Coronation Street, I'm watching Hollyoaks from 2019, and Mercedes is somebody who's like a really, fucked up, character too, like a Tina Lori, like a Tracy, like she's done a million and horrible things. I think she's killed somebody too, and she's cheated, and God knows she's cheating on her husband Silver in 2019, and with Liam of all people. But she had these incredible scenes where she was pregnant. She didn't know if it was her husband or the guy she was cheating on him with, so she decided to have an abortion. And Brooke was also decided to have an abortion, and here these characters that don't really interact meet in this one episode at the abortion clinic, and Mercedes realizes that Brooke is there, and she's there for the same thing, and she actually was there for Brooke. She actually was talking to her and listening to her and giving her advice, and it was such a great moment to see this different side of Mercedes, and then it went even further when the truth came out and everybody was like on top of Brooke, and Brooke was losing it, and Mercedes walked in on it. She walks into this happening, and she yelled at all of them. She's like, what are all of you doing? Look at what you're doing to her. And so you see this character that you've been thinking of in one way, and you see that person in a different light. You see that character in a different light, and it makes them more three-dimensional and more three-dimensional and more likable. So I'm loving these British soaps. Edward is the father from hell. What he's doing to Tony is horrible. Tony can't catch a break. My God, they put that character through the ringer.
Has he always been like that? Like always just going through? No,
he just always he always has drama. He just got stabbed last year. When I'm watching 2019, his son Harry was killed by Brita, the serial killer. And when he figured out that Brita was the serial killer and that she killed Harry, she stabbed him. And they did it. This was so cool what they did. I wish that I was watching it in 2019 because obviously I know that he didn't die because he's on the show now. But back then what they did was they did it so cool. When Brita stabbed him, like they had this whole big confrontation scene in the rain and everything, and he's confronting her and he's like heartbroken because he realizes she killed Harry. And she stabs him. And the minute she stabs him, he has this flash. And they show him flashing back and remembering himself on the show from the very beginning. So because his character's been on the show. He's one of the only characters I think right now that's been on there from the very beginning of the show. So they show him like as a kid, because the show's like 25 years old. They show him like as like really young, and like you see, like they do this montage flashback of him throughout the years, and I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck? Because I wasn't expecting that. And I'm like, and then like he had two of these montage flashbacks, and then he falls and he's bleeding out, and she walks away and she leaves him there. And I was gagging. And then the very next day, the very next episode I'm watching, the opening credit, because the opening credits now starts off with him calling his kids.
Right.
When the opening credits started, it was his wife Diane and his stepdaughter Sinead calling the kids, and he was off the opening credits.
So they messed with you.
Yeah, I was like gagging. I was like, oh my God. I said, what is going on? I don't understand. So if you would have been watching it back then in 2019, you would have thought that and they did that for like a couple of episodes until they revealed that Brita she wounded him, but she didn't kill him, and she was holding him hostage. And his character was held hostage by her for a month. And you got to remember that the show was off the air, and they were also showing lesser episodes. So in some ways, this wasn't too long ago. So obviously he obviously was rescued by his being captured by Brita, only to have his father then fuck him over this way. So this is all happening back to back. So this character's been put through the freaking ringer, Right. But what a scumbag his father is. Jesus.
Because that's one thing about Hollyoaks. One thing I've noticed is like when your character leaves, you're off of that opening credits. The black, like Lisa on the Black Excellence table, she's gone.
Yep. Yeah, I actually saw a clip of them. I figured out how they did it. It seems like I guess they have an idea of what's happening or going to happen, or maybe so they actually, when they shoot this, at least this time when they shot the opening credits, because I think this is one of the first. This is the second time they've had because usually the opening credits were individual characters. And then not this one, but the one before it was when they started doing like group stuff. And this one was even more group like by family. So I actually found a video on YouTube of them like behind the scenes doing it. And I think what they did was they kind of just shot everybody, but also shot them like singles and doubles just in case, we get rid of this character or we bring this character in. Because the concepts say the same, but now Harry's gone, Sinead is gone, and his father and Verity are in it, and it's the same day, the same thing. So it's kind of interesting. I have to give them credit. I love their opening credits.
Oh yeah, that opening like is a subliminal message. Seriously,
I know you.
It starts and it's like you're watching it, and it's like you will like this show. The opening always puts me in a really good mood. And so by the time it starts, then I'm like in a really good mood. So then I like the show. Whoever did that opening was very smart.
It's a really great opening. I mean, I got to tell you, Juliet is savage. I love that girl. She is such a great actress. I mean, I was heartbroken for her when she told Perry how she felt about. Well, first of all, the fact that she finally kissed Perry at the party, and then the next day Perry kind of like was like acting like she didn't remember, and and it broke, and Juliet's heart was broken. Like Juliet really was incredible with that. The last episode I saw was a very well written episode, and it was Jack giving Charlie advice that actually kind of connected to what Brody and Juliet was going. And I thought that was as a standalone episode, I just thought it was very well written, and Jack ended it by telling Charlie, you got, if you have issues and you're dealing with stuff, the best thing you can do is like let people know. Don't bottle it up. Don't keep it inside. And it was exactly what Brody was going through by not telling Sienna, you know, everything that he'd been going through, that he, you know, went to go visit the guy who abused him as well, trying to get, you know, an apology, and that he brought Ollie and all that stuff. And then also Juliet, because Juliet was bottling the fact that she was, you know, she hasn't told that many people that she's gay. So, you know, she was actually able to sit there with Perry and tell Perry that she is gay. And Perry's somebody who has experimented with her sexuality. I don't know that I would necessarily call her bisexual, even though she has been with a woman. But the way Perry told her was, you know, I didn't look for that. It was just her. And sometimes that's what it is. It's not necessarily that the person's bisexual, but they found a person of the same sex that they were connected to in a drive. And it doesn't mean that they're all of a sudden bisexual or lesbian. It just means that this one person, this one woman. And I also think the thing is, it's also an age gap, and she looks at her as a little sister. So Perry had to like let her down and tell her, you know. And of course, Juliet being a kid, it's just forcing her to really rebel and get more involved with the drug dealing. And I think something bad is going to come of this. You know, as Juliet gets more deeper and deeper into this, because she's tired of being treated as a child. So see, even Holly Oates is dealing with some really great, heavy stuff, both in 2019 and 2020. And we'll end with finally with EastEnders.
Ding, 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 ding.
I got to tell you, EastEnders is right up there with Coronation Street for me. This show is amazing. And I thought Agnes Nixon created some of the most fucked up mothers in all of like soap opera land. But this one on EastEnders, Suki, is like the mother from hell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what I'm talking about, Suki,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
She is, she is, not only is she like is ruling her family with an iron fist, she could care less about everybody on that show. She is like a slum landlord. She is doing some God knows what other grimy shit she has. But this week, she even set up one of her sons is like been rebelling, and part of it is the girlfriend that he's with is trying to make him see things in a different light, and he's rebelling against his mother and the things that she does. And when the mother realizes that it's like him and the girlfriend, and that's where it's coming from, she set up her own son to get arrested for something that her other son did. So now the other son's in jail for something his brother did, and she could care less. She told her children, everybody's done something for this family, now it's his turn. But the thing is, she's making it seem to them that the cops came to her and was like, and so the reason she, you know, sold up one son was to protect the other one. But the cops came to her and told her, we don't know anything, we're so sorry. So she just did it on purpose to make her other son pay for like sticking up to her. So that's some fucked up shit. I was like, wow.
Oh, it's so
and
funny.
All her son. What?
So my husband is British, and so I guess he's been watching EastEnders off and on for years. So I was watching it the other day, and he walked in and he's like, "Oh my God, Ian got old."
I got to tell you, it's really weird because Ian's mother looks younger than him.
She does.
Kathy Beale looks younger than him.
I will tell you
wife.
This, though. I didn't realize it was his mother.
Yeah, and I will say this about Ian. Even though he does look older, I think he looks better now than he did in 2008. Because I'm also watching EastEnders from 2008 on our sister station of PBS, WLIW here in New York. They show 2 episodes from 2008 every week, and I'm loving those episodes too. So it's funny to see the contrast of some of these characters that are on here now and also on back then. And Ian looks better now than he did back then. He may look older, but he looks healthier. Like, he looks very sickly back then. But Ian is the worst fucking father. He was the worst father in 2008 to Peter, and he's even worse in 2020 to Peter and Bobby.
So I have a question for you. So,
yes.
Because I'm still trying to piece that whole thing together. So wait, so Ian took someone's money and bought the bar.
Ian and Max are business partners in their restaurant that they own together, and Max was going through a divorce. So in order for his wife not to get any of his money, he opted to give Ian, like, you know, the other half of the restaurant and all his money and stuff, so the wife couldn't get half of that. Now, Ian, trying to get into Sharon's pants and her good gracious, used that money to buy the Vic. And of course, very realistically, which I love, you know, this all happened before the pandemic. So when we came back, it seems that because of the pandemic, the restaurant wasn't doing good, and neither has been the bar. Right. So Ian's kind of fallen behind, and now Max is wanting his money, and Ian doesn't have it. So that's what that's all about. But Ian's still a lousy father. I mean, in 2008, he was so horrible to Peter. He's such a neglectful father. And now his son Bobby, who just got released, because Bobby, as a kid, killed his sister, Ian's favorite child, Lucy Beale, years ago.
That's why the charity. Okay, so now it's
So Bobby is doing this charity to make penance because as a kid he killed his sister, his older sister. So he's reformed, and that's why when Max and him were fighting, I don't know if you noticed how Bobby started like shaking and stuff. It's because, you know, he has a lot of issues. But the thing is, like, you have a son who and you're so insensitive to him. And then it's funny how I'm watching these 2008 episodes and he's just as bad as Peter. And I got to tell you, the actor who played Peter was a little kid in 2008. You should see what he looks like now. He's not the same actor. They have a different actor playing him. But Thomas John Law, who played the character back then, he grew up to be such a hottie. But anyway, I love how Sharon kept it real with Ian. The minute she realized that Ian was like wanting more, she there was no sugarcoating it. Sharon, I love Sharon. She was just like, that's not happening. It was just like work. She was just like, yeah. She goes, that's not happening. I was on the floor. We also got to see the return of Stacy, a character who I'm thinking, at least in 2008, seems really nice, but now she's a bitch. She's been bleeding. She's the one who's been bleeding Ruby dry and stealing Ruby's money. She's just come back, and not even one day back, and she was already in Suki's face, her and Suki. So that's going to be some fun stuff with her and Suki, because she obviously does not like Suki, and Suki is her mother's landlord, and Suki is really screwing her mother over. And so Stacy is a character that's not to be played with. So this is going to be fun that she's back. And I love Karen and Linda's friendship. Sharon and Linda's friendship. I really love how they have each other's backs. And then I was really excited about what I thought was a lesbian couple with Tina and Frankie. But now it seems that Frankie is Nick's daughter. That would make her Tina's niece. So that's why she kind of rejected Tina when Tina finally, you know, came about. But I was really thinking they were going to make them as a couple, and I was really enjoying this like older woman, younger woman kind of thing. And I thought it was so cute. But now it seems like she's Mick's daughter, and Mick's reaction has been incredible.
Okay, now next question. What's the name of the people who got married in the car?
Oh, I don't know. That's Callum's brother. I don't really know the brother's name, and I don't know the wife's name. But I thought that wedding was hysterical. That was a hot mess of a wedding. Yeah. It wasn't as hot as a mess as, and Seth will agree with me, because me and Seth were talking about it. We were watching the 2008 episodes, and Stacy's brother Sean was on the show, and he was marrying Mitch's cousin Roxy, and their wedding was the most ghetto ass wedding. I mean, you talk about trailer trash. That wedding was hysterical. So I guess EastEnders loves doing like really crazy weddings. So I was enjoying Cal's brother's hot mess of a wedding. I was like I said, it wasn't as hot as a mess as Sean and Roxy, but it was a lot of fun to watch. But I don't know their characters' names by heart yet, because they've only been on like a couple of times. But I know that the groom was Callum's brother, and Callum is the gay cop who's involved with Ben. But I really felt like, you know, there was again, talking about people straying, the writing was so realistic for Mick and Linda, which led to Max kissing her, and why Linda did it. You know, Mick and Linda are going through some problems right now, and she was feeling like he was, you know, patronizing her about the alcohol. And, you know, when you're trying your best, you don't want somebody to be on you. And it resulted in her taking a drink. And Max caught her. And Max was there for her and listening to her. And he kissed her. And she eventually pulled away, but she kind of responded there for a second. It wasn't like a quick push away, you know? And then she eventually told Mick. And she picked the wrong time to tell him because he's reeling from the reveal of Frankie. So it ended with him threatening to, again, these British people love breaking bottles.
Oh, yeah, they will stab you with a broken bottle.
I know. He was like threatening. He told Max, stay away from me and stay away from my wife. Yeah, she told me. And he's like, yeah, I wasn't like that. I was drunk. He's like, I don't give a fuck. And he's like, I will break. I was like, damn, they keep it real. That's why I like EastEnders, because they're mad ghetto. I love it. I was very, it was like, anyway, he just was so great when he learned. And it was funny, there was a scene where Linda did not have her makeup on or that bun that she always have on, and I almost did not recognize her. I thought they recast the role for that episode. I was like, is that really her? Because she looked drastically different. I want Gray to pay so badly for what he did to Chantel. I got to say, it's riveting to watch this storyline, but I don't know how much longer I could take it if he's going to be getting away with it.
Now, do they punish, like, is it kind of like the American soaps where, like, or even like Coronation Street, where, like, when you do get caught, you get punished? Is it?
No, I think that he will eventually get caught. When he's going to get caught, I don't know. Because it seems like this could go on for a while. But what I'm saying is, like, it's just so riveting to watch because, you know, he obviously is going through shit. You know, the fact that he didn't, you know, the fact that he felt guilty and he opted not to go to the funeral, but actually went to Whitney's court case. And then everything that the you know, I guess whatever you call the district attorney or whatever, you know, he kept feeling like the guy was judging him and criticizing him. So he's losing it. You know what I mean? And he almost tried to put the blame on Suki's son, Karit, but, you know, he stopped himself. So he's going through it, but it's like, it's just horrible what's going on to the rest of the family. The fact that, like, the mother's taking Gray's side, the father is suspicious of Gray, the brother's taking Gray's side, you know, and it's like, and they don't know the truth, you know? And I just feel like it's just powerful stuff. I mean, Chantel's mother is blowing it out of the park. I mean, she's brilliant. She is so amazing. She breaks my heart. Her father is excellent, you know? It's a really heart-wrenching storyline. And what I love is that everybody else in town is affected by it too. They obviously know Chantel. You know, you're getting to see all these other characters. I think that's the difference between that and, like, Days of Our Lives, where, you know, Sierra's dead and everybody's, you know, onto their normal lives. No, here they knew Chantel and it impacted them, you know? And everybody's, you know, affected by it. Like, you know, you saw Mick writing the card for Mitch, you know, and as this, you know, man lost his daughter, he's finding a daughter. How weird is that, you know? But I mean, Chantel were her parents. I don't know if you remember when before Chantel died, when she was, that last moment that she had with her parents, that was heartbreaking. When Gray, you know, was forcing her to go back and she was looking at them, and it was almost like, you know, this was it, you know, almost like if she was foretelling that this was going to come, and the fact that she didn't feel that she could reach out to them and tell them what was going on, and that's realistic too, because people don't realize that for a lot of people that are being in these situations, they're ashamed or they're afraid, you know, because you think, like, why she has all these people that love her, why couldn't she tell her parents? You know,
right? And
it's brilliant writing, brilliant storytelling. You know, there was another storyline with Isaac and the little girl that is having too much hormones, and she's a really little girl. It's not like a Lolita storyline. Like, this girl isn't like 16, or she's like still a child, but she seems to be like obsessed with her teacher, which I don't blame her because he's hot, but she's little, and Denise was catching on to that. And she told Isaac, be careful, you know, and then when he decided not to tutor her anymore, she decided to lie and say that she saw him smoking marijuana, and it, like, blew up, and the school was threatening to fire him. And then badass Phil decided to put his 2 cents into it and got the teacher fired, and or suspended. And then Denise found out, and she reamed Phil at the bar. She put him down. And the thing is, there's all this history between them because she had a child with him, which they put up for adoption. And she felt that was what's best. She didn't want the child to be anywhere near Phil and be a monster. But now that child, his adopted parents died in a car crash. And the kid is there in town. And Denise has visited him. And now Phil knows that the kid's there. And that's his child. And Phil is somebody who's all about family. He's all about the Mitchells. And now he wants his son. So that is some powerful storyline happening right now.
So they're the mob. He's the mob, right?
Well, I don't know if I would say he's a mob. He's a fucking crook. He's a gangster, definitely. I don't think he's like a mob thing or anything, but his family is grimy. Like, they're the kind of people that do, you know, they're gangsters. You know, they do whatever they can to get by. I don't think of them more like a mob. Maybe I could be wrong, but I think of them more like Sons of Anarchy. You know what I mean? Right. Where it's just like they do illegal things to get by. They don't have, like, you know, official jobs. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's like a kingpin like Sonny. Sonny wishes he was as badass as Phil. But it's definitely, you know, they have their own code. I mean, but I guess maybe he is like the mob. I don't know. But I just wish that, why can't the American gays have stories like this? I mean, the whole Callum and Ben storyline with you know, Callum now being a double agent, the cops have him over the ropes where they're trying to force him to get information on Phil to save Ben. But meanwhile, he's now supposedly working for Phil. So there's a lot of twists and turns with who's zooming who in this storyline, right. You know, and then to have that all come into play with the whole reveal that Raymond's back in town and that Phil wants him and Denise doesn't want him. It's really some good stuff, you know? So yeah, EastEnders is, you know, it's funny because I remember reading that article about them feeling that they should do a time jump and scrap all the storylines. And I'm like, y'all are crazy because you got some interesting storylines, some interesting characters. Well, I don't want you to change anything.
I think it's kind of a case of like some of the American soaps where during all this downtime, they actually had time to think and get their energy back and maybe get re-energized. And you know what I mean?
Well, I just got to say, I enjoy EastEnders so much. Like, I just really, really love EastEnders. It flies by for me where I'm like, wow, it's over already. And I just find myself very drawn to it. And I love the characters. I love the dynamics. I mean, and the history, you know, and I'm somebody who's not been watching it obviously for that long, but you get caught up immediately. You can see it's so well written that you really get a grasp of how these people are related and stuff. Like the whole thing with Denise and Phil is fascinating to me, you know. And the guy who plays Phil, he's been on the show for a long time. He's one of the I don't think he was there from the very beginning, but when you look at all the characters, he's one of the oldest characters on the show. And he was gone for a couple of years, but his family's been a very big presence in the show. But that one scene where he just walked in and saw his son in the hospital bed, and there wasn't no dialogue or anything, but it was such a powerful scene. And you could see the you know, so much was going on in that moment. Like, wow, is he going to fight for his son? Is he going to manage, you know, that you know, because that's his child, that's his blood, you know? And it's just so interesting to be watching that, and then watching 2008 where he had more family members. His cousins were living with him, Roxy and Ronnie, who were big popular characters, and they were written off. And his son Ben, who's gay, is a little kid in 2008. And it's so funny because the storyline right now is that he likes all these like show tunes and he wants to be a dancer. And it's like, girl, yeah, he was a queen. You could tell back then he was a queen. And so Phil's upset that he like wants to be in this dance recital and stuff. And the little kid who plays him is so funny, and it's just so great because he grew up to be gay.
Right.
So you're seeing all this stuff, and you know, and also like Denise is having her storyline. There's a lot of characters who are still on the show that were on it back then. So it's I'm enjoying just like with everything else, I'm enjoying watching. I don't know if I told you, I think I did tell you last time that I'm mad at BritBox. They stopped giving me access to Emmerdale from
Why?
1993, and I was really, I don't know why. They just did. I went one day to continue watching it, and it was no longer available, and I was pissed because I was really enjoying watching older Emmerdale. I don't know. Why have it if you're not going to give us access to it?
I
so
think
annoying.
they actually have older complete episodes on YouTube, like the full episodes, I think.
I don't know. Maybe we'll try to find them. I don't know. I got to tell you, I'm so grateful to you in this podcast because I'm really enjoying the British soap opera so much. And again, I can't, for you that are listening, you really should, if you love soap operas, if you're a big soap, you should be really watching these shows because they remind me so much of the old days of the American soap operas. They really do.
I'm looking now. Let's see. Emmerdale full episodes. I'm going to look on YouTube real quick. Because I didn't realize up until recently, and I watch YouTube all the time, I didn't realize that like older shows, they have like full episodes. Let's see. And even like, because I was Googling the Guiding Light for some reason, and they were showing like older Guiding Light episodes, they have like the full episodes.
Yeah, you can find YouTube. I can find full episodes of a lot of soaps. A lot of Edge of Night. A lot of the Edge of Night episodes are on YouTube. And actually, if you're friends with Sharon Gabbett on Facebook, she and this guy I forgot his name. I don't know if it's Norman but there's some guy who they periodically like show the episodes and watch them all together with like a group of people.
I just Googled. I put Emmerdale 2000, like March, blah blah 2000. They have full episodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we got to use it. Now, I will say this: we do have to end on a little bit of a sad note. Got some bad news. For those of you who don't know, who haven't heard, Ben Jorgensen, who played Kevin Sheffield on All My Children, passed away. Supposedly, allegedly, what people are saying is that he committed suicide. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, I do.
He was also on As It Will Turns. He played Chris. He was one of the many actors who played Chris Hughes. I was heartbroken to hear about this. That was to me one of the last periods of All My Children that I felt like the show as a whole was just brilliant. Francesca James was the executive producer. Lorraine Broderick was the head writer. Marcy Walker came back as Liza Colby. The show was on fire. It won an Emmy for Best Daytime Soap Opera and Best Writing. And, one of the big storylines that Lorraine wrote was, Kevin Sheffield coming out as a gay teenager. And it was, unfortunate that, the regime that came next did not want to continue the storyline and they wrote him out. But it was such a brilliant storyline, and he was such a talented actor, and he gave such a brilliant performance. And when you think about that time period, the mid to late 90s, there were so few gay characters on daytime. There were so few storylines, and this storyline was very powerful. His brother was a homophobe. They had also brought on Chris Bruno as, what's her name's, I forgot the character's name. She was involved with Kevin, with Trevor.
Haley.
No, not Haley.
Natalie?
Trevor's, no, I was after Natalie, but before Janet. I forgot her name.
It was played by Felicity LaFortune, right?
Yes, by Felicity LaFortune. She was, Laurel? No, it wasn't Laurel.
Yeah, it was Laurel.
Laurel?
Yeah.
Okay. Chris Bruno played her brother, and he was gay. And there was this whole big homophobia storyline, and it was just powerful stuff. And he was a part of it, and he did such a beautiful job portraying Kevin. And I don't think he was gay in real life, but he did such an incredible job and such a talented actor. And I was heartbroken to hear what happened. So thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Thank him for his incredible job, his incredible talent for bringing that character and that story to life, because you don't know how many people probably watched the storyline and were helped by it, how it made an impact on them. And that's why representation matters. And that's why we need our stories told, because not everybody lives in the big city. Not everybody has that support from their family and friends. So these little shows like All My Children and One Life to Live and General Hospital and EastEnders that people make fun of us for watching, they don't realize how these shows can really impact our lives and affect us and change us and educate us and enlighten us. And, you know, he did a beautiful thing by bringing this character to life and this storyline to life. And may he rest in power.
Yes. Yes.
So
we did
to you,
it.
Ben Jorgensen.
We did it. Oh my God.
All
We've been
right.
on for 3 hours, Jordan.
No.
We've been on for 3 hours.
Oh my God, you're lying.
Oh
my God. Okay.
I'm gonna actually put this out right away, so it'll be up today or tomorrow.
Okay.
No,
we gotta go to weekly. We gotta go to weekly so that we're not long. Oh my God. I can't believe it's 3 hours. It's been fun. We tackled everything.
I just looked at my clock and I was like, no. I was like, this can't be right. And I looked at it at my phone. I'm like, oh my God, we've been done for 3 hours.
Y'all are getting your money's worth. You're being entertained for 3 hours.
Exactly.
We're funny and we're fabulous.
Yes,
and you love us, and it's not boring. So
yes, we must go to weekly.
And it's free.
And it's free, exactly. And
oh my God! All right, well, we should go there.
Yes. Well, and if you want to get a hold of us, you can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page called Soap Opera Love in the Afternoon. Also, I need to do this because I keep on forgetting to do this. If you like movies on Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel, I have another podcast called A Lifetime of Hallmark, where me and my two co-hosts talk about movies on Lifetime and Hallmark and try to make sense of them as well. And it's been 3 hours, so we're going to let you go now. Bye, Jordan.
All right. Bye, Les.
Bye.